Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Co-optional Podcast here on the 2nd of May, 2017.
Yeah.
Yes. Hi. Sure is a date.
That sure is a date on the calendar, I tell you what.
Indeed.
The 2nd of May.
Yes.
Known for such things as the day after May Day.
Okay, my mom texted me yesterday and said, "Happy May Day, my lovelies," to all of her kids. And I don't know what May Day is supposed to be aside from the first day of May.
Really,
do we just call it May Day because it's fun?
It's
an old pagan fertility thing. I don't know. I had one of those weird friends in college who was kind of like an artsy hippie type, and he would celebrate May Day and set up a maypole with the Pagan Student Alliance, and apparently that's what you do on May Day.
I love the fact that there was a Pagan Student Alliance and there were enough members
it was
to maintain
him
it.
and like 4 of like the weird gothic looking kids who were really into photography.
I
loved him to death, but you know, it was
oddly
that crowd.
Enough, yeah, my town being extremely like small town America conservative, every single year had a maypole.
Really?
So yeah.
No.
So I have danced about the maypole before.
It's also
is the maypole a conservative symbol of some sort? Like
no. If anything,
it's a pagan
May Day...
fertility thing.
Yeah,
I guess it depends on how conservative you want to go back. You know, like exactly how old are the traditions we're supposed to be conserving here?
Right.
Indeed.
But May Day is also I don't want to say communist, but it's a
May Day's a communist. Get him.
No, it is. It's like the International Worker Party Day.
Someone in Twitch chat just posted
I was hoping that Jesse could being a history buff.
Yeah, no,
it's some kind of extra info to this.
May Day is 100% about like the beginning of spring and fertility rituals and all that stuff, and like dancing around the maypole and finding your love and all that stuff.
International Workers' Day.
But it was also co-opted by the either Socialist or Communist Party to be like, it's the International Workers' Day, which is why you have so many big protests on May Day, which is why there were May Day protests yesterday and people getting in fights and shit.
Yeah.
So it's a big like FU to the man. So May Day is like we're going out, we're protesting. So
I better go buy some official International Workers' Day merchandise to stick it to the man.
Yeah.
So it was a day meant to commemorate the Haymarket Affair, which occurred in Chicago on 4th May of 1886. So Labor Day in America is in September, but apparently International Workers' Day in a whole lot of other countries is on an entirely different day, but it's still based on an incident that occurred in America.
Well, it was like a rallying cry. It was like a rallying cry to like better conditions and screw the bourgeoisie and all that shit.
Yeah. Children used to work. In fact, it was horrible. It needed to be changed.
I mean,
they would feed their kids beer
when it came to
beer gave them lots of nutrients.
We were very, very good at putting children to work in factories and having them lose
their tiny little fingers. They could get in between the gears.
Yeah,
it was changed in the USA because communism.
Oh, okay. So they didn't want to be associated with it, right?
We wanted a different Labor Day that doesn't really mean anything now.
To get it out of the way. Yeah. I guess that does make a degree of sense. That is a very American thing to do.
So anyways, hello, I'm George.
Indeed, George has been on the show quite a few times. He has many names: SuperBunnyHop, the Bunny Hop Show, the Notorious HOP, whichever you prefer.
That was a while ago.
Indeed, you know you've put aside, you've put your thug ways and thug times behind you, but who knows when you'll be called back to the streets?
Now I'm a humble sock salesman.
Indeed, yes.
So did you guys get those, offers for the socks?
Come on. What offers?
What?
No.
What?
Sorry, I think I accidentally ended up talking over you.
Socks offers? No, what?
Yeah, socks offers. Wait, so okay, like me and Pushing Up Roses and Lazy Game Reviews all got these like mysterious offers from a company called Backdrop to do sock merchandise.
Really?
And
specifically just socks.
Just socks.
Yeah, literally. Like they don't sell anything else. They just sell socks, and they'll like print your channel's branding on them. And I don't know. I don't think I signed anything saying I couldn't say anything mean about them. They're kind of shitty. They're $14,
okay.
but they're socks with my branding on them. So I was just like, all right.
I'd expect good socks for $14, honestly.
Right?
You know,
Yeah.
I get a good solid pack, comfortable socks for less than that.
You know, it doesn't have to be that way with George socks.
Why not underwear? MeUndies, call me. Let's do a co-optional underwear.
Speaking of the bourgeoisie,
You can put me on the ween, and then BB and Dukes can be on the butt cheeks.
no, thank you. I'd rather not be on underwear.
You're on the butt cheek.
Thanks.
Actually,
Thank you.
Dukes out. Put Crendor on
not
the
I'm
me.
gonna step
Nope.
out of this branding
right in the
deal.
butthole.
I don't authorize the
it
use
could
of my
be,
brand
it
of
could
my
be the
image.
Crendor me. So it'll be Crendor with a wig on.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All
There we
right.
go.
Yeah,
Do you want to
no,
sit
so-
on your favorite YouTuber
You
or
only want-
stand on them?
You only want people.
I mean, I would like to do
hear
both
you?
of those. Can I do them? I could do no. I could do them at the same time. It'd be a bit awkward. Position would be awkward, but it's
Oh
doable.
my God, garter. Like stocking and garters.
Yes,
and like
the
BB
money
lingerie?
is in garters now. There is no
sexy
doubt.
TV lingerie. The total lingerie. Done.
You could have like a little bow tie, like right
Stop
around the hip with
this.
like a top hat
Absolutely.
on top
Stop
of it.
this.
That'd be really cute.
Yes. Oh my God.
Ah!
Just a
Total.
burgeoning market in the burlesque scene for that kind of thing.
Yup.
This
There
is
is
what we
now-
all want to see.
Burlesque gamers are being ignored. The
It-
fuck?
It is, it's true, no doubt.
a-
Unless you're in LA
4 or
and you're
5
part of the fucking Star Wars
Us,
thing
the
that
Star
happens.
Wars
Yeah,
burlesque,
I was about to
yes.
say like there's a lot of weird cities on the West Coast that have like specifically game themed burlesque.
You could have just left it.
shows.
There are a
Yeah.
lot of weird cities on the West Coast. The end.
I just think most people on the West Coast are bored because they're all coastal elites with all the money they could ever need, so they don't need to work, obviously.
The
true.
bourgeoisie.
Indeed.
This is what May Day was all about.
We're
Get rid of the
American
Western cities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bourgeoisie is buying socks and garter belts and also all manner of things, and,
And
it
throwing
has to
Star
stop.
Wars burlesque shows. The
gotta
fuck
stop.
do they think they are?
Yeah. You're missing out, proletariat. You're missing out.
Yeah, you just
What the
mock
fuck
them.
is going on with this show?
Because they're too busy in the coal mines, obviously. All the proletariat down
Thank
the coal mines.
God.
They can't
Seduce
take
the
part.
means of production.
They're too
Indeed.
busy climbing into beer vats until they're about to pass out and then getting dragged out and fed beer.
I
And
mean,
then
how else am I
climbing
gonna
back
light
in.
all my oil lamps while I watch my naked Star Wars ladies? I mean, come on. Come on.
You
This
bring
is
up a
how
fair
freaking
point,
it
something
works.
worthy of consideration. Perhaps on a different show. Welcome to the Co-optional Podcast. We do occasionally talk about video games. Going up the show, we might be talking about the games that we've been playing over the past few weeks. It's always a possibility. I'm just not going to promise anything. We'll also look at the news, assuming there is any. There really isn't, but not too much coming up this week. So we might end up talking for an hour about how creepy Twitch fans are, considering there was a lovely little article that came out today on that one about people showing up at other people's doorsteps, having traveled halfway across the world. And yeah, it's
I mean,
terrifying.
Yeah, not anything new though.
No,
They could have written that
it's
article
really
fucking
not.
10 years ago about YouTube.
well, you know,
All
like
they did was replace YouTube with Twitch and call it an article.
Like
That's all they did.
every
That's what
year,
they've been
there's
there for years.
there's always an article about like swatting or whatever, as if it's a new thing. It's like, hey, you hear of this cool new crime called swatting? That
This
you can
cool new crime.
Cool crime.
What the kids are doing these days.
Yeah, the cool
I-
crime.
I have horrible suspicions that that's exactly what these kind of articles do.
Well, do they
is-
glamorize the whole thing? They actually encourage
Yeah,
people to do
yeah,
it.
glorify it, make
It's
it
possible.
funny enough to want to do.
Yeah, because they'll post a little clip. It's like, oh, that sounds like a great prank. Ha ha ha! Yee!
And then before you know it, someone's dog gets shot, and it's not funny anymore.
No, I certainly don't think it was funny before that, and it fucking well definitely isn't beyond that. I can tell you that.
You guys ever had someone show up at an airport for a plane you were taking to travel somewhere in the world, and there's just like
No,
a
but
fan
I've
with the sign
definitely
waiting
heard of
for
it.
you?
I have heard
Wait,
of that
what?
happening. Though.
That does not happen to me,
happened to
thank
me
God.
once.
That's
wait, hold on,
actually
hold on.
a really easy
Yeah.
way to do
They
it.
came to meet you at the airport with a sign?
Yes.
Yeah. It was one individual. I don't want to go into details just in
Of
case
course.
they might be watching this and might feel bad, but I did explain to them later
I'm
on
glad
that
you're
it was not
concerned about their
appropriate.
feelings beyond like stop that immediately. What the fuck?
Wait,
Well,
but
I mean,
like,
it's not like they were rude about it.
It's okay as long as they were politely creepy. It's fine.
hold on, time out. There's a lot of questions I have. Why were they there? Were they there to like welcome you to the city?
Oh, well, why do you think? You know,
Yeah,
Well,
that might have been like the purported reason. I think the real reason was to meet
Stalking.
George, whether George wanted to be met or not. I think the one lesson I learned, and again, I don't want to get too deep into it because I don't want to compromise this person's identity. But the one lesson I learned is not to post Twitter pictures that include the gate of the airport.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no.
What are you doing?
This person like looked up which planes were leaving out of that gate, found the flight that matched up with what it seemed like my schedule would be that day, and then just showed up at the arrival gate of the airport they guessed.
It's actually so this happens a lot, both with like real celebrities and stuff like that. It happens all the time with fucking wrestlers because they're flying all over the world and they have gigs like every day, and you can figure out because you know which wrestler's going to be on which show on what date and all that shit's live. You can figure out exactly where they're going to be, at which airport they're going to be, because there's only so many flights from so many places. If you actually divulge that information on Twitter or whatever, yeah, absolutely. People can show up at, especially at arrivals, you know, because you're usually going down an escalator, everyone has to go pick up their bags. Someone stand there with a sign. Yeah.
I could just be like,
to wrestlers all the time. I don't see why it wouldn't happen to Twitch streamers as well.
I made a really stupid joke. I thought it was funny, and the joke involved the name of the city on the gate.
Oh,
you don't even have to post the gate. There's only...
hey guys, I'm gonna be gone tomorrow from the hours of 5 to 9, and I definitely won't be home. And then they get home and their house is robbed. Like,
it was not that explicit.
That's also another reason not to tell people that. Like, you don't want to divulge that info on Twitter because, there was a huge explosion over the past couple of years of people getting their houses robbed because they were basically posting every 20 minutes where they were, and where that wasn't at home. So you don't have to case the joint. You know the dude's not home because they posted, here's my latest shots from my Vita with all my family. We're totally not at home. The home is empty. And it's like, this will happen.
Man, that's so funny.
I learned.
I think
funny until
the
it's
George
not.
address is still secure, but anyways.
I learned a long time ago that when I'm at a place, if I take a photo and I want to post it, I wait until I leave
wait until
the
you're done.
place.
Don't post it
and then I post it.
Yeah.
That would kill me. Because, I don't know, like, what if the joke's not funny anymore a few hours later? Like, what if you see something really cute and funny in the moment?
George, that it wasn't a good joke and it's time to move on.
The chances are you had to be there anyway for it to be funny.
Yeah.
So it wasn't funny to the rest of your followers in the first place. So could wait a couple of hours. Personal safety, better than whatever you call that. I don't know.
I don't know, man. I make sacrifices for some good memes.
You're a brave man. That's all I can say. You know, you're willing to take a bullet. Perhaps
Thank you for
your
appreciating me for my service.
Indeed.
One
we
time
might get
I
a bit
took...
more. Oh, sorry. We've got more stories. Great. Go on.
No, this one's a short. This isn't one of my like super creepy ones. This is just a tiny one. But one time I took a picture of. One time I took a picture of some Chinese food that I was about to eat, and you could see some of the table.
Oh.
And a person
Oh my God.
And a person was like, "Oh my God, I live right next to there. Are you guys still there?
Run.
I'm just gonna." And I was like, "Fuck."
Oh yeah.
How do you know from the table? Are you kidding me?
Well, if he goes there all the time, of course he does.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. That's the thing. You don't think about it when you've only ever been there once.
Yeah.
But like, if that's like their jam,
that is
like the
someone
spot they
else's
go
haunt.
to.
Yeah.
All I'm gonna say is, if like, say for example, I go to PAX West and like a bunch of you just want to go to the Seattle airport and just hold signs that say how much you love me, but not follow me around. Fuck, would that be great? I'm just saying. For
good luck. I'm sure the kind of people who would show up in an airport with signs will really respect those boundaries. Yeah.
Here's the thing.
The thought sounds fun, but then actually experiencing it.
Nope, it's great. These guys are not grateful, is what the thing is. Not grateful, y'all. Not grateful.
Yep.
This can only turn out well.
Please,
That's
Jesse.
fine, yeah.
You know what?
Means.
No, you're right, Jesse. You deserve all of them.
Yep.
You're right.
Every last one.
You know what? God, I see it now. I see it clearly. I don't deserve that level of fandom, but you do.
I do not either.
I do. I've been saying this for years. Thank you.
Yeah.
All I want is like one or two really passionate fans.
All you want one or two is stalkers.
Who also know their limits. Is that too much to ask?
Don't exist.
Well, the opposite side of that same coin is that you're like riding the escalator down the airport, minding your own business, and you just like hear this echo coming down the hallway from someone keeping their distance and minding the boundaries, but still talking shit about you. Like,
no, that happens on the internet already, so I'm not
Used to that.
that happens in real
is
life
the-
too. I'm used to that shit. People talk shit on me all the time. I need people to be like, "I love you."
I think that's been a nightmare of mine, man.
Unconditionally, but I won't follow you into the bathroom.
Yeah, I won't follow you in the
Where's
bathroom.
that line? Where's the line?
But
Yeah, yeah,
George, has it ever
Don't
happened
follow me in
though?
the
Has it
bathroom,
ever
but if I need you to kill a person, you'll do that for me. That's all I want.
Have you ever
Someone
had
will
someone
probably-
talking shit with an earshot that didn't know you were there though?
Yeah, that's
Ooh.
all I want.
No, I haven't. I think it would make me really sad. That's never happened to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I would just like shout, no, not now's not the time, man.
I love, oh my god, the idea of somebody just like, oh my god, SuperBunnyHop, I think he's like so dumb, and you just hear from somewhere,
I do
no,
that
No, he
It's
isn't.
like, no.
I don't know. I mean, I like the idea of me freaking out. In reality, I'd probably just listen to it and take it like a chump and walk away.
Oh,
But then hours later in the shower, you come up with a fucking amazing comeback. It's like, yeah,
of course,
Yeah.
always.
in my mind, I got
Fucking-
him.
And at that
Always.
point,
Got
at that point, does it really matter? Because you still had the payback. You still know what it feels like to shout that thing out at them. They don't know, and that doesn't matter though.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
They've got to feel the burn.
Guys, what games have we been playing?
It's a great question. Let's get off the subject. We might get back onto it later if we're real short on the news. I'm pretty sure we can't stretch out the Darksiders 3 teaser trailer of 45 minutes worth of content. So we might get back onto this, but hopefully we'll come up with something a little better in the next 2 hours. Let's get on to some games. Somebody is excited, about Darksiders 3, but we'll talk about that in the third hour of the show. We're going to spread this stuff out. Going to keep you on the hook for the rest of this broadcast. Can't do that if we just blow our wads immediately. So,
Ugh.
George, what
Ugh.
you got for us?
I've been playing the Nier Automata.
Ah, yes,
Tomato,
indeed.
Nier Patata.
Indeed.
Yeah, and I have to like really juggle my appreciation for like weird, artsy, subversive video game narratives with like anime aesthetics. I just hate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's unfortunate.
So
yeah.
Because a lot of them
wow,
do-
that's not the game for you.
Yeah, a lot
Yeah,
of
you
them do
picked the
seem to
wrong game.
coincide in that one.
I really liked a lot of the stuff going on with the story up until the very end. I don't know if you guys have played a lot of it. Have you?
Only a few hours. I got onto
smidge.
other stuff and haven't got back into it yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's really like so far it seems like the best of times and the worst of times. There's several endings to these things. There's always several endings. It's not so much of a spoiler to say that the first one you get is probably the most disappointing. And this was a case where
It's supposed to be though, right? Because
yeah.
every
And
time
then-
you
and then
play
you
it,
get the
there's
real
new
one later.
information, and
Yes.
right. But it seemed like compared to the last game, like they almost cut the original like shoddy, not the real ending of this one short almost. And in a way I wasn't really expecting, but I don't know. I mean, maybe that's the point. Maybe I'm supposed to feel that way before going into the other endings later on. And it seems like there's some really smart things going on with the narrative, but at the same time that ending, it just like devolved into such melodramatic animu bullshit of everyone being really sad that they're like perfect looking plastic children people who fight for their friends, and it's like it's that kind of stuff that doesn't grind well with me. It reminds me of that awkward phase in high school where all my friends were huge weebs.
Oh, you mean now?
Yeah.
I just like the slight pause after that as to imply this is what's currently happening too. Maybe there might be
Maybe.
some on this very show.
Maybe
They
history
may be
just
here
repeats itself.
right now.
Perhaps. Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, I just there's a lot of elements of this style that don't super duper mesh with me well.
Hmm.
But I'm still making my way through it. I'm figuring it out. I'm trying to figure out why everyone's dress is so frilly.
Do you like? He's explained that because he likes pretty girls.
Which is a reasonable, straightforward
It is
explanation.
The best.
I
answer.
love him.
It's
I love him so much.
He has no
Yoko
contrived reason
Taro.
for it.
Yeah, it's
Um,
not because she breathes through her
Moon
skin.
Boy.
No, nobody. She does not breathe through her skin.
Yeah,
I like that.
With,
It's
with all
just-
due
it's so- it's
respect,
just
I've had a
refreshing.
lot more fun watching interview footage of that guy than I have playing the games up into this one. This one's good, clean fun. I mean, you got like a very Bayonetta-esque platinum combat system.
Yeah.
But up until then, you had really shoddy, mediocre combat systems where you just press the triangle button over and over again. On the other hand, you could spend your time watching interview footage of him rolling around on the floor having a seizure, saying Square Enix shit, Nier Automata t-shirt over and over again. And one of those I find more fun than the other.
Unsurprisingly.
Do you typically enjoy platinum games?
Oh yeah. I was actually just playing the Bayonetta PC port a week ago. I did it all the way through on stream and
Best one.
And had a blast. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you were getting this on your computer or not, but I had some really weird frame dips in a few levels.
No, haven't had that.
I don't know if it was because of the stream or not. I want to test it out by myself. I haven't had a chance to play it by myself without a stream. But other than that, yeah, no, super duper solid port. However, you don't have the Princess Peach costume from the Wii U version.
Yeah, obviously that ruins everything. You know, that's the definitive version. You've got to have those 3 Nintendo costumes that are in that version.
You got 3 Nintendo costumes, and I don't know if you're me, you don't got to worry about your frame rate in that one. And maybe they're gonna patch it later on or something. It just seems like a weird issue. Other players have reported this as well.
Yeah, I haven't run into it personally, but you know, it's entirely possible it's there.
Right. Yeah, no, Bayonetta's great. And apparently Vanquish is getting teased.
Oh, yes. Now, there's the one that definitely needs a PC port, because that ran like absolute shite on consoles, and
the only platinum game to not hit that 60 FPS target. Although I have to wonder, like, if they're going to have to build a new difficulty mode around the mouse and keyboard for a PC port.
You know, you might have a point with that, because actually, yeah, the game might end up being a little easy if you could actually aim properly.
Mm-hmm. You also don't have those like frame drops of these messy motion blur effects killing the PlayStation 3's power.
Indeed, like right in the middle of a boss fight where something goes horribly wrong, you get hit by a missile because your frames.
Ironic that of all the platinum games that could get really solid PC ports, Vanquish is the one that's taking them the longest, because that's the one that almost feels the most appropriate, the one that like needs it the most.
I want it though. There's no doubt. I really do.
Yeah. They put a low res avatar image of Sam Gideon in the avatar folder of your Bayonetta installation.
Yep.
Apparently
they're being
that's
quite silly in that
evidence enough.
Right now. That'll do.
Get your hopes up, kids.
I wouldn't mind Anarchy Reigns as well, but I have a feeling there might be some licensing issues with that.
Mm-hmm. That's also why Bayonetta 2 is probably never gonna get ported over either.
You know, Nintendo also paid for that, so that's probably got a lot to do with it.
Right, they care about their exclusives. Expect it on the Switch though. It would surprise me at all if they just port everything.
That's
everything
fine.
that can make the Switch to the Switch.
So far that seems to be the plan, right?
Yeah. That machine does have more ports than original titles right now, doesn't it? By the looks of it. Yeah, it absolutely
there's
does.
a shitload of Neo Geo games on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was playing Shock Troopers on a Nintendo Switch in a Chinese airport like 2 weeks ago.
Yep, assuming anyone could buy the damn thing. There was a news article recently that Nintendo are shipping Switches by plane where necessary. You know, the most expensive way to ship them, because they're just so desperate to get them into the hands of consumers. I'm like, I don't know where you're sending these fucking things, but it ain't to any of the retailers that are either around here or online at all, because they are not available anywhere still. I check every day.
They're on planes, Stevie. Didn't you read the article?
They're still on the planes.
They're on the planes.
They never forgot to take them off.
Maybe they're too busy playing the Switches at the airport, watching the time go by. Yeah. So I've always hated baggage claims, right? I hate the anxiety.
I don't know anyone that likes them.
Right. I especially hate them. Like sometimes when I do trips, I specifically don't pack up anything that needs to go through a baggage claim. And
that's so freeing. You just get off the plane and you walk right out the door. It's like, you can't hold me here any longer.
God bless.
Well, I mean, I might be able to make the switch now thanks to the power of the Nintendo Switch. A friend of mine just showed up at an airport when I was going to meet him, and we went to the baggage claim together and just played some Puyo Puyo Tetris at the baggage claim. And before I knew it, it was like pressing the fast forward button in The Sims. Like time just we suddenly appeared in the future. Everyone else was gone, and my bag by itself was just like making the lonely little circle around the claim. It was a good moment. I felt like a problem that we have together as a society had been solved.
You found something that actually passed the time.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And it wasn't social media.
Indeed.
It wasn't something that might cause someone to find me at that airport.
Right.
Also a
Yeah.
fair
Thank
point.
God. Look, this is all working out in your favor, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The less you're tweeting about your location, the better, because you're obviously tempted to give that information out. You can't stop yourself.
Okay, it was a really funny joke. All right, I had just been to Denver.
So
I
you
had-
believe.
I had partaken in their beautiful legalized recreational substances that caused me to
So
think
it
that's
wasn't
why
a
the
funny
sign-
joke.
It wasn't funny. You were just hot.
it was really funny at the time. All right, I saw a
Uh-huh.
gate at the airport that said Portland, comma
God.
or. So I posted on Twitter a picture of the gate that said Portland or what?
This is
Ah,
what suddenly
okay.
so many things are making sense.
Maybe that
Like
person
you
was there to
saying,
stop
what if
you
by the time I leave the place, it's not a funny joke anymore? I'm getting it
that
now.
was
I'm
that was a
understanding.
What
joke
if
that was more
you-
funny at the
you-
time, I'm sure. But
what
I
if you
still thought
came
it was
off the
worth the bullet I
substance?
took.
And it just wasn't as funny anymore. That's
Maybe
another
that
thing. You
person
should
went there
wait until
not
the
to
come
stalk
down.
you, but to stop you from making awful jokes. Maybe they were there to like. Maybe the sign literally said, "Please
They were here to save us.
stop."
They came back
Stop.
Please.
Get
30
some
years
help.
in the future.
And then Michael
Help.
Jordan showed up. Yeah.
Yeah. Stop.
Get some help.
Help.
Oh my.
It was just a one-time
Memes.
thing.
Speaking of Nier, by the way, they brought out their ridiculous DLC.
Yeah.
Today.
Yes, where you kill the CEOs.
Yeah,
That'll
it's
teach 'em.
like a couple of battle arenas, kill the CEO of Square, and 3 costumes, and it's about $14. To me, the whole DLC, the existence of the DLC, is a meta joke that's tied into the game. Surely, right?
Absolutely.
That does seem a little pointless.
Did you guys notice that? So I don't know if this counts as a spoiler or not. The pop-up message you get at the end of one of the endings.
I mean, I'm going to assume that an ending
If it's
is
at
a
the
spoiler,
end of an
yes.
ending, then
Okay.
yeah.
All right, hang on. I've got well, I haven't got
All right,
there
let's-
yet, but
let's-
I'm going to
let's-
put a spoiler thing up. On this. No, that's
Okay.
not the spoiler thing up. I've just turned off all the overlays. It's showing you what lies beneath. No, you can't do that. All right, the spoiler alert is on, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
So did you guys notice how the pop-up message telling you to play through the alternate endings is signed by the Square Enix PR team?
Really? I did
Oh
not.
yeah,
I mean, 'cause I haven't
that's
got there
really
yet, but-
weird. The PR team usually doesn't have the tools and the access to like make messages in a game pop up like that. So I'm wondering if as I play through the game more and play some of this DLC, if like sarcastically poking fun at Square Enix itself is a big theme here.
It's possible.
Okay, that's all. That's all.
right.
We can
okay, spoiler alert is
stop
going
them dancing.
off. Spoiler alert is going off. There we go. Spoiler alert is off. Dodger, fucking stop it.
She'll never stop. Can't stop. Won't stop.
Stop it.
Might stop.
Can't stop.
All
There
right,
you go.
stop.
She
Zero
stopped.
Can't stop.
good.
You just
I'm
stopped.
I'm glad the stopping.
Oh, never
has
mind. You
occurred.
didn't.
You stopped, right.
Her hand jive. Can't stop the hand jive.
All right, that's Nier Automata. Yeah, I just haven't got the chance to get back into it. I'm gonna be honest. I played on stream once. I enjoyed myself a lot with the occasional bit of downtime of this is a green field and I'm farming shit. This is silly.
Yeah.
But outside of that, yeah, I just haven't got around to sitting down and playing it, beating it, and then playing it again.
Yeah.
It's gonna have to happen at some
If
point.
if you do stay away from the farming stuff. There's not as much in it in this game. There are like a few kind of only okay side quests. They're just like go to the waypoint on the map. There are a few good ones, but you can generally tell which ones are the good ones. Like you'll have a more voice acting given to those side quests.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, no, it's actually a pretty good time. Like nice, concise, 17-hour story. Doesn't really waste too much of your time
Cool.
compared to other games of the genre.
Good. Glad to hear that. All right. Who else? What you got?
Did anybody else play Little Nightmares?
I did not, but I'd like to hear about it.
That game is great.
All right.
It's a like 3-hour sort of creepy atmospheric game. Where you play a tiny little person in a raincoat like minuscule, like very tiny person who's trying to get somewhere. You don't know as you're playing it. But it's man, everything in this game, I'm trying to figure out how to talk about it without like spoiling anything, but everything in this game is designed to be very creepy and tense and uncomfortable, and it like does it in such an incredible way. There are some mechanics and elements to it that might remind you of Inside, if anybody played Inside.
Yeah, it gave me immediate vibes in terms of the fact that it's a platformer with really good animations and cool lighting, and you're gonna stuff in the background's gonna interact with you in some way, but that's kind of about as far as it goes.
Yeah, it does some of those things better, I think. And also I think another thing that Inside had was, and I remember us talking about this, the fact that like the way that the kid moved
was very lifelike.
Yeah, it had like a weird uncanny valley feel to it, where like
Yeah.
when he would fall, you would be like, oh my God, it looks like somebody actually fell, right?
Yes.
And this game has a lot of that, where the way that you move in comparison to the way that other things move is like jarring. It's like really weird.
And I imagine they do that on purpose to generate that degree of uncomfortable something. I was trying to think of the end of that sentence and never really got there. They were trying to create discomfort within the player, because
for sure.
What really blew my mind about this is that, art style wise in particular, and of course genre as well, considering we've seen horror essentially exist for the last few years almost entirely in first person, to see something that's for all intents and purposes a platformy game do horror maybe better than any of those is intriguing
you have
to me.
camera angles that they can play with.
There was you remember a game, maybe you played it a little while ago, was it Lone Survivor, I think, was the name of it, which was a top-down pixely horror game that was genuinely fucking terrifying.
I didn't play that one. I played
Silent Hill thing.
It was a bit Silent Hill-esque. Yeah, it was a few years ago. Indie Dev brought it out by name of Jasper Byrne was the guy who made it. I played it a bit for a video, and I thought, there's no way a Super Nintendo-style aesthetic and a side-scroller like this could be terrifying. And I was completely wrong.
Yeah. You ever stay up at night playing, like, shoddy RPG Maker horror games?
That's not a hobby of mine.
It's a really spooky hobby.
Okay. Spooky in the spooky, or spooky in the spoopy kind of way?
Well, yeah, because when the graphics are that low fidelity, you can like have your imagination fill in things that are going to look scarier than whatever they could depict it in with higher technology.
Yeah, that is true. Dodger is someone that you have a pretty high tolerance for scares, more than most people here.
I really like creepy things. So like Sam also played Little Nightmares, and he was shocked that I was not scared while playing it. I just thought that it was really like well done, creepy, atmospheric, like tense game, right? It didn't feel like a horror game to me. It felt just like really creepy. For Sam got spooked a few times.
What do you think the difference between a game that's just merely creepy and a game that's specifically trying to be horror is? Do you how would you define that?
I guess it depends on what you find scary, right? I don't know. Because it has the same sort of element of like things that are depicted as monsters trying to get you.
Does anything actually jump out at you and give you a jump spoop?
I'm trying to think if there are any proper jump spoops in this game.
I mean, if there are not, maybe that's the difference then.
Yeah, I feel like there's a hard line drawn there.
Jump scares shouldn't be what defines a horror game, though. I think that's lazy.
Tell that to every indie dev over the past few years.
I think that's the difference in what TB was talking about, though. Right. I don't think it defines the horror genre, but I think it defines a lot of what makes games scary, and then tension scary.
Right.
Because with the jump scare, you have the relief of like something got you, and like you have that adrenaline rush. And with a tension game, it's just like, build up, build up, build up. Something's wrong. This is creepy. What's going on here? And there's no release to that.
But that's almost like scarier than the
I
jump
agree.
scare.
I think jump scare games are, again, Outlast and Outlast 2 are great examples of most scary games. For the first 2 hours, you're like, oh man, this is scary. And I don't know what's around the corner. Eventually, you just get tired of it because it's like, fuck, I can't.
It's horror fatigue, I guess, at that point.
Yeah. And it becomes a battle of beating the monsters rather than being afraid of them now. And because the mechanic isn't you can fight back, at least with Resident Evil 7, at a certain point you hit that moment where you're like, let's fucking do it. And you're in there and you're just murdering shit and you feel good about it. This is like, your character doesn't understand the concept of fighting. So all you can do is run, and it becomes a frustration. So all you're doing is running around trying to avoid shit. And I hate that. I would much rather have a game that's tension, and then like maybe the end is the big scare.
I played another game that I think we talked about because the second chapter of it came out, Bendy and the Ink Machine.
Okay.
Do you remember us talking about that one?
It came up briefly in a release section, I think, but outside of that, no.
Yeah, so
Bendy and the Ink Machine?
Bendy and the Ink Machine. It's the one that feels kind of like an old Mickey Mouse cartoon in the art style.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, yeah.
So that game, I only played chapter 1. There are 2 chapters out right now. But that game, the first chapter was entirely like walk around, do a thing, jump scare. Walk around, do a thing, jump scare. And everybody was like, chapter 2's out. And I was like, I think I'm good. I don't think
you've had enough of that.
Yeah, like the look of it, I was like, sure, okay. But there are things that happen in chapter 1 where I was like, I don't really have faith that this is going to be a game that I'll enjoy. You know, I don't have faith that this is going to be like a great experience for me. I think that the style of it is great. I love the idea of like an animator coming to the studio of the person who made like a Mickey Mouse knockoff and finding lots of creepy shit in his house, like that kind of a thing, I think is interesting. But I like the way that the game that first chapter progressed. It's not even a half an hour long, but I was still just like,
Isn't that game's free, right?
First chapter is free. Second chapter is $5, I want to say.
All right.
Maybe it depends on what sort of consequence there is there for being scared. Like the jump scare kind of there's a physical element to that. You're like, I have to breathe. I like took a shock to my senses and like sometimes in a traditional survival horror game, there's like heavy consequences to just being hit once. You have health that doesn't regenerate. You need to find a medical pack that's a rare item that you don't get very often. And so like not staying on your toes despite an atmosphere trying to get you off your toes is part of that consequence of getting spooked.
Yeah,
right.
I think we talked quite a bit about this last week when we were discussing Outlast 2, I think, as well, that there's the argument for a number of years, and it was mostly Amnesia's fault for this, and there's some of Slender's influence in there as well, that we're going to take combat out of horror because if you take combat out of horror, then all that's really left is the scares. You've got the feeling of helplessness, and supposedly you can use the feeling of helplessness to evoke a sense of consistent horror. Whereas we seem to be now leaning back towards the idea that you can have combat in horror games, and that actually does enhance the feeling of dread. And really, it's weird that we ever got away with that from that, considering some of the best horror games of all time, stuff like Silent Hill, had a combat system in it. Even if you go all the way back to things like Alone in the Dark, which I found was genuinely terrifying back in the day, that has a combat system in it.
At the time, it was an interesting twist to not be able to fight back. Like you had to hide and you had to, be really careful about what you did. I think it worked for games like Amnesia, but the fact that Amnesia was really successful and then every other fucking game after it was like,
it became really easy for any 2-bit indie dev to put together a scary first-person dark game. When you don't have to render 95% of your damn level. Yeah. So get a horror experience, as in walk through this dark thing for 20 minutes.
I remember when playing through Alien Isolation. The common complaint around that game was that it like went on way too long, and maybe that's because when you don't have any combat, you don't have enough options to really hide what flaws may exist in the system of the AI monsters that are supposed to spook you. Because I actually remember the game getting much more enjoyable when you get the flamethrower, when you can actually make the alien retreat back into the vents and not bug you for a while. Because then you could not deal with like quick loading and quick saving and trying to like bug its AI out of the room. You did something that made sense in the universe to get rid of it.
And I think that is the failure with scary games, horror games, jump scare games. There's like a pattern. It happens every time, and I think most people recognize this, that when you first start playing a horror game, your fear is the fear of the unknown, right? You're afraid of, you don't know what's about to happen. You don't know where the jump scares are coming from. If there are jump scares, you have this fear, this tension that builds up inside of you because, oh my God, what's going to happen? And the next level down is, or I guess up, whichever way you want to go, is once you get the jump scares, there are repercussions for those. Like you were saying, there's either you instantly die or you take damage that can't, there's something that happens. So now you're no longer afraid necessarily of the jump scare. You're afraid of whatever happens to you because you got the jump scare. And then eventually that it's like a fear of failure. You're afraid of screwing up by getting scared.
Yeah.
And then the next level is you're no longer, eventually, a few hours in, you're no longer afraid of the failure. You're angry and frustrated with the failure because like, what the fuck do I do to avoid these jump scares? What's going on?
And by that point, you've seen the same animation where the alien looks at you all scary and then stabs you with his tail, and it doesn't feel like it hurts anymore.
And then the fourth level, which is eventually what everyone gets to in these games, is the frustration with the game in general. Because you look around, you're like, there's literally a shovel there. There is an axe over there. Why can't I pick that shit up? And now you're mad because the game doesn't give you the option to fight back. But in any scenario, at this point, you'd be like, fuck it. I'm tired of these goddamn monsters. Let's fight back.
Yeah.
And
Man, the regenerators in RE4, like, I still don't even know what their attack animation even looks like. Actually, I do remember. It's really stupid. They like squeeze a muscle and spikes pop out and impale you, but they're like so creepy from a distance that they still work as really scary, memorable enemies, even without like posing a real threat.
Man, I loved the way that the guys with the chainsaws and the sacks on their head, I love the way they were animated. Like, they'd come towards you nice and slow. They got it in close to you. It was just like, bah. They just took your head off without it looking like it was even a thing. Like, and there was just something about that sudden finality and brutality of it and how easily they did that. That's like, yeah, I could totally shoot them. And hey, this game's got an electric gun and all sorts of crazy shit in it. But I know that this guy is still lethally dangerous if he gets close to me.
You kind of had to like pay attention to what you were doing,
still had
despite
to do that.
something inside of you just wanting to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
If you just shot him in the head like 8 times, you're good. But that's still like 8 headshots that have to be aimed pretty well.
And you're hoping that there's nothing
head.
Else coming your way as well. You're hoping there's not more than one of the bastards.
But you can fight back. Like, I think that's the thing is games where you can't are frustration simulators at a point because there is no way to fight back. And you need, like, it's your basic human instinct it's fight or flight. And so
I'm going to disagree.
The entire time, then eventually you're just going to be like, fuck this.
I'm going to disagree to that point. I think in principle, you're absolutely right. If there is no way to fight back against the system, then it is basically a test of patience. But I don't think fighting back has to be done through combat. Like, I think the way Amnesia did it, and the way it did it well, is that you are fighting back against, one, an insanity system within the game, you know, where if you didn't have the light on, shit would start going wrong and you'd be going insane. You're fighting back through intelligence, through puzzle solving. You know, and a lot of that was timed as well. Like, you'd have to solve something in a certain amount of time. You don't have to fight, you don't have to hit the monster, but outsmarting the monster can be just as tense. But as long as you have some way to get one over on the opponent, I think that still counts, and you can make a good horror game that way too.
It also didn't go on for 15 hours. Like,
no, it didn't.
15 extra hours. Alien Isolation is like a 25-hour game that should be a 15-hour game. And they made the sequel to Amnesia, the Machine for Pigs, that kind of killed it by not having the puzzles and a lot of even like
they took all the systems out, didn't they? Yeah, like they took systems out because, hey, it was, I don't know how much the Chinese room did on it versus how much the other guys did.
Machine for Chinese Room, my favorite Amnesia sequel.
Those developers, man. can't.
They love you. What's wrong?
They literally
They're your-
lied about me in a
they're your
major
biggest
UK
fans.
newspaper. I'm not
TB,
going to forget
you need
that.
to relax. You
No.
need to relax.
It's
I
because-
love you so
can't.
much. I don't know
just
why you're
can't.
always bagging
Everything
on them.
they
when
say
love
on Twitter
you
makes me
so
roll my
much.
eyes to the point of dizziness. Oh, I can't.
It's because you didn't like Machine for Pigs.
It's actually because I didn't like Dear Esther. That's the reason. That's I think I described Dear Esther as a endurance simulator where you have to see how long you can hold out with this finger right here, holding down that W key for 90 minutes without getting a cramp or a little bit of oh dear. What's the
See, that's a whole hole. I feel like that's why I'm
is.
so fatigued with like a lot of modern sandbox games. I feel like I'm just holding the forward key on the way to the next waypoint on the
That's
map.
what it was. Arthritis, a machine for pigs. Yeah. There is a lot of that. You're right. Yeah. Still not a fan of horror games. Still never will be a fan of horror games. I'll tell you what. I did like a lot though.
Huh.
So, finally sat down, and certainly a game with very creepy aspects to it. Without a doubt. Some very dark themes in general. I sat down, finished the whole damn thing. The Sexy Brutale.
Oh yeah. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, that'll be good. Dodger, you've beaten it as well, right?
Mhm.
Yep. Jesse, you haven't touched it yet?
Nope.
You probably should. Like, I don't know, you're the sort of person who seems to me like you love to learn the backstory behind really interesting and odd characters. And the
Yeah, it looks
backstory
great.
behind a place, you know, discovering the various eccentricities and the history of a place. Because the Sexy Brutale will let you do that. A very big place, it's a casino mansion called the Sexy Brutale. And they were very silly for naming it that, because I can guarantee they will sell no copies as a result.
The name is it does not inspire what the actual game is at all.
It does not.
It's also like hard to look at. I haven't touched it, but I've always really wanted to, just because every screenshot doesn't look like anything from an established genre.
No.
It's great.
It does not. I mean, the best way to describe it would be genre comparisons are really hard with this. It is, in a sense, a point and click, I suppose, but top-down isometric. And the whole thing... Sorry? Go ahead.
I was going to say, when you and I were talking about it yesterday, you said that it felt like a more elaborate ghost trick.
Yes and no. I'm a bit careful with the comparisons to Ghost Trick, because mechanically, I think that the game is not all that similar to Ghost Trick. The only sort of comparison that I would draw is that both games are about intervening in a series of events and messing with cause and effect without directly interacting with the characters in question. Ghost Trick is about that, and Sexy Brutale is about that as well. But Ghost Trick tends to have these set-piece puzzles where you'll go into the set piece, you'll be presented with a puzzle, and you have to figure the puzzle out. And a lot of it is like, oh, I figured out a thing, so something happens, but then something else happens after that. It's like, damn, that didn't solve it. I've got to keep working my way through. The Sexy Brutale's not like that, because all of the puzzles in the Sexy Brutale are technically happening at the same time. This is the crazy thing about the Sexy Brutale. Every NPC in that game is tied to a strict schedule over the course of 12 hours. And they will do the same thing every single day. It's a Groundhog Day situation. They're going to talk to the same people. They're going to move to the same places. Events are going to happen. Oh, a great example that I keep bringing up is you can hear, at about 4 o'clock, there's a gunshot. You can hear it everywhere in the house. And if you've played the game, you know exactly why that gunshot occurs. If you've played the first bit of the game, you know why it happens.
I love stuff like that.
Every NPC reacts to that gunshot, because of course they can hear it.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's one of my favorite things about the game is the sound design. You can hear the chimes ring, you can hear the gunshot go off, and after you've played the game, you know why every single sound happens.
Yeah, and it's
really cool.
It's important that you learn that too, because it really is part of the puzzle solving. And the best way to do it is like a detective. You shadow the NPCs. I spent a whole day shadowing one dude, following him around the mansion, following his routine, seeing who he talked to, who he interacted with, what he had to say, because that started to give me clues, not only as to why somebody was getting killed, what the overall plot was, but also a really great sense of the whole. It's like a microcosm of life, you know. It's a theater. It's a play. I mean, it feels like a play. It's all choreographed and scripted.
And it's on like a little stage, without a fourth wall in front of you.
Quite literally, yes. Like quite literally, it's that. It was a while ago on the podcast. I think someone talked about going to one of those interactive plays where you
like
all wear a
mystery
mask.
Dinner.
It was kind of like that, but it's a play and you walk around the whole thing and everyone is acting, and sometimes you'll be pulled into like a room and an actor will tell you something and all that kind of thing. It's
there's
like
a thing in New York that does that. Yep.
Yeah, it's like that, but a video game, and you as the only person able to change their routine are the only person able to change the sequence of events.
And that's always a setup, a premise that I absolutely adore. Like Majora's Mask and the first two Dead Rising games are like some of my favorite things ever, because it just seems like there's so much you can do with the story like that, like a Groundhog Day situation where every little minor character can be a big character if you follow them around through their actually really complicated and interesting life.
Yeah, and timing. I love the aspect of time in this, and I keep going back whenever someone complains about Dead Rising 1 or 2, it's like, oh, I don't like the timer, I wish they'd just take that out. It's like, you break the whole thing, as we saw with Dead Rising 4, that was just a waste of everyone's time.
Because you're supposed to play it again and again and again, and see different stuff every time. It's brilliant.
Yeah, the best thing about Sexy Brutale, though, is even like in Dead Rising, you got to be in certain place for certain events, but imagine if in Dead Rising, you could follow the same dude around for the whole course of the story. You can't do that, but in this you can. Every NPC is gonna be in a specific place at a specific time. You even have a nice little time scrubber on your map. So as you keep replaying the day, the more you learn, it records it on the map. So it's like, oh, here's this guy, and he's here at this time, and he walks over here, and you gradually piece the whole mystery together, and it's so satisfying to do. It's so damn satisfying to do. My God, it's really interesting, totally unique. You know, I guess you can compare it to Majora's Mask with the whole clock and the fact that, you know, once, you know, the stroke of midnight hits, that's you done. But it's all about following that routine, solving those puzzles, following those NPCs around, and gradually building up your impression of what the fuck is happening. It's legit great.
You're selling me pretty hard on it.
It's really, really good.
I enjoyed it.
I really liked that game.
Yep.
So I'm glad that you wound up playing it, TV.
I did, yeah, and I almost avoided it because, you know, it is for all intents and purposes a puzzle game, but I looked at it because someone's like, hey, look, this is a bit like Ghost Trick, and I know you really love Ghost Trick, and you evangelize Ghost Trick all the time. It's like, yeah, I fucking do. Go play Ghost Trick. What the hell's wrong with you? Oh, you haven't played Ghost Trick yet? You're making a horrible mistake. Go play Ghost Trick. But I was glad I played it. It was a great time.
I literally played it because I thought the name was funny. I saw the name on Steam and I was like, "Oh, I wonder what this is." Looked at the pictures and I was like, "Oh, it actually looks really cool."
Oh, look at this aesthetic. But simultaneously, I think the name's holding it back. Like, what I
thought it was going to be a totally different game than what it was, because it's got like a kooky name. So you think, "Oh, the whole game is going to be really like silly and fun." It's not really dark. It's a really dark game.
It has elements of absurdity to it, no doubt.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I remember going into that room at the first time and seeing the Grim Reaper robot card dealer. You know,
yeah.
And you know, there's a fish thing involved somewhere. I won't spoil that, but there are definitely some really strange absurdity in there, but a lot of it's just super dark, like very stylized. Everyone's wearing masks, so everyone has a very kind of 1920s, you know, roaring 20s kind of Gatsby-ish sort of name and all that thing. But I don't think the name's going to help it, because yeah, people will be completely confused as to what they're getting. They don't know. It's not a name that I think attracts people. I think it's a name that will puts people off in many ways. That's a shame. It wasn't a perfect game. Like I was talking to you last night about this Dodge. I think like the last hour they info dump a bit hard. I see maybe that it was necessary, because if you started to give away a little bit too much of that info early, it would unravel what ends up being the final plot.
Right.
But I still think they could have done a better job of giving that info out. Like the fact that it's only within the last hour that you basically gain this power to learn what the history of each room outside of just looking at the objects in it. It's like, no, you could have given that earlier, maybe broken it up a little bit, because then in the last hour, you end up wandering around the house like, I want to know what this room was all about and all this room was all about. And within the last hour, there's a lot of optional, but, very present exposition that could have been spread out more evenly before that.
I wish that, and maybe this is kind of a spoiler. I'll just say I wish that with each like puzzle that you figure out, with each like way that you affect somebody's life, I wish that you got just like a little bit of information.
So minus, well, I mean, it's not really a spoiler, but you have to go up to their body and collect it. Every body has an invitation on it. I didn't know this because the game never tells you. Yeah, there are 9 collectible invitations, each of which gives you a ton of info about that character. They're on the bodies, so you can only get them at a very specific time. And again, I won't spoil how you do that because that's a gameplay aspect. But yeah, they're there. It's just the game never bothers to fucking tell you about it. I already discovered it by accident. So yeah, it's annoying, but it's a hell of a game. Really interesting. I don't think it's got replay value, so it might be one of those, look, okay, you think $20 is too much for 5 hours of this? I personally don't think that, but I know a lot of people would. Of course, they're on a budget. Wait for it to have a sale, play it then. It's worth your time. It is worth your time.
Is it all 5 hours to uncover everyone's story?
No, I'd say if you want to 100% it, because you got 52 playing cards to collect and 9 invitations, which can unlock and possibly get you another ending. Maybe it's about 6 or 7. Depends how good you are at it. Depends how much attention you've been paying.
That is a pretty hard sell for $20.
It can be a hard sell for some people, yeah. I mean, to be fair, wasn't Journey $15 to $20, and that was 90 minutes?
Yeah, and that Journey's a real exception to the rule, though.
Yeah, but I think like 5 hours for $20, for some people that's going to be okay. For some, not. But if I think about it, 2 hours for a movie at a cinema is probably about $10, depending on where you live. I don't think you ask 20 for 5 is asking that much necessarily, but obviously it's
people don't carry the same standards though when $60 can buy them something that's entertaining for like 100 hours.
Yeah, and we keep coming back to this point, that big disconnect between critics and the general game buying public. We go back to the whole Mad Max thing. It's like people give Mad Max 4 out of 10, and everyone's like, I love Mad Max, there's so much to do. And then critics are like, oh, there's so much busy work. Right. For some people, that is genuine content that they get real value out of. That's why open world games continue to be as popular as they are. There's a lot to do in them. It's just, I think the quality of that content is often very low.
Do we have more time before a break? Talk about one more?
I mean, it's 4:05. We should probably be taking a break if you got something real quick. Or do you want to wait? Okay, cool. We'll take a break. When we come back after the break, folks, for more about the games that we've been playing this week. You are currently watching the Co-optional Podcast. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Co-optional Podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed the break, the sounds of Darren Korb's Transistor soundtrack. So good.
Excellent choice. Super good. Super good.
Can't wait to see what they've got in store for Pyre on the soundtrack front. So it was Vanishing Point and In Circles. Very good. I was hoping to play soundtrack from the Sexy Brutale, but it's not available anywhere online.
It's not.
No.
Not even in the install folder?
No, I looked. It's not there. They've bundled it up. I'd happily buy a soundtrack for it. Supposedly there's a full house edition of the game for console that maybe has a soundtrack CD with it, but, well, not picking that up just for that. I don't have a CD drive. What use would that be? Welcome to the digital age. All right. Well, Dodger, you seem to be like you're chomping at the bit for some game before the break. What you got?
Oh, the other another game that I played was Pinstripe.
Ooh. Yeah, you did. I saw you playing quite a bit of that on stream. Yes. What is that all about? So that's a side-scrolling game where your daughter is stolen by a person named Mr. Pinstripe, and you are a dad who is on a journey to get her back, basically. I didn't know about this game until I saw our friend Ross, who's part of Game Grumps. He was like, I did a voice in this game called Pinstripe. And I was like, oh, cool. What I didn't realize is most voices in this game are people that we know.
Felix is in it, Jacksepticeye is in it, like all kinds of people are in this game as just like kind of one-off characters. And it didn't take that long. It was a few hours. I'm not sure how many. But it winds up it's God, I'm trying to think of how to say this.
We're having issues today with spoilers, aren't we? Or is this not a
Yeah.
spoiler related thing? It's
not a it's just like it's another game where it's kind of hard to, I'm trying to figure out how to talk about it without being like, here's what the game is.
yeah.
It's like, so a lot of people were coming into my chat while I was playing it, and they were kind of like grossed out by it because the whole world that you're in is gross on purpose. In a cartoony way, not in the way that like Little Nightmares is gross. Little Nightmares is like viscerally gross, right? But this game like has little things like mushrooms make fart noises for no reason, and you know, people are living in their own filth, and everybody's just kind of, everything feels kind of off. And as you play it, you sort of start to understand why. But the whole game feels very because you're like a dad and your daughter gets stolen away by this super creepy dude. It's just like, it feels so, the whole game you're just like, I need to save her. I need to save her from this super creep, right? And so that kind of like paints the whole thing. Like everything just feels like everything in this world, even though it doesn't fight against you, everything in this world doesn't feel like it's on your side. But you know that you're, you know, like a super creep stole my daughter, like I'm gonna save her. But everybody else is like, isn't Pinstripe just so great? Isn't he just like the greatest? And so you have this really awkward feeling while you're playing it, like I don't understand, like I'm the one in the right here, you know. So as the game goes on, and again it's pretty short, as the game goes on it starts to make a bit more sense, but it's like a short, interesting playthrough. I actually played it twice because it did have a reason for me to play it twice. I would say that the payoff for playing it twice wasn't super big, but yeah.
Worth a gander, though.
Yeah, I think it's worth a play.
All right.
I can't remember how much it was though. Pinstripe.
Give me a $15, maybe.
$15. Yeah, $15.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful game. I think again, $15. Some people might not necessarily want to pay that. But
you know, the thing, it's fine. Like, that's the lovely thing about all of these great indie games on PC is that at some point they're going to be in a bundle, or they're going to be like $5 or something ludicrous like that, and all you need is just a wee bit of patience. Put them on your Steam wish list. That's all you need to do. It'll even tell you when they go on sale. Just write it down somewhere. Hey, here's a list of really cool games they mentioned on Co-optional, but, you know, I'm not willing to pay a full price. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, just try it late down the line. Well, when I first picked up Ghost Trick on DS for $40, and now you can get it on iOS. The first 2 chapters are free, and I think the rest of the game's like $4 at most. Like, and it's the better version too. What I'm saying is fucking buy Ghost Trick. What the hell's wrong with you? Have you played Ghost Trick yet? Look, you had the break to get Ghost Trick. Did you? You didn't, did you? You didn't. I gave you an opportunity. You failed. Go and get Ghost Trick Phantom Detective. What the hell's wrong with you?
anyway,
What's that?
Pinstripe wound up being a very emotional game for me, and I cried.
Okay.
So
Well, it's
you
a good
know,
thing.
it did enough
Usually.
for me that I was like, that was a really good game experience for me.
Yeah. Can't remember the last time I cried at a game. I cried at a random kitten once, but that was about it. What was that?
Like just a cat that existed in a game.
In real
No,
life or in a game?
That was in a movie. It was no real
Oh.
cats. I don't cry at real cats because my cats are dicks. I hate them. They're just horrible. But it was
Fair
in what was that? The game that movie with Key and Peele in it. The latest one with the cat.
Keanu?
Oh,
Keanu.
Keanu.
Yes.
Keanu so much because he's so
Yes.
cute.
I randomly burst into tears on an aircraft. I'm pretty sure it was mostly drug induced, but I randomly burst into tears on an aircraft because of that kitten in the first 10 minutes of Keanu. Because like this is a very adorable kitten, and I find that very upsetting for some reason.
And he has the voice of Keanu Reeves. So that's all you need.
I'm just
God,
I was very
that's just
stressed.
so good.
I was very stressed
Mm.
It just puts you in that kind of situation.
Yeah.
Jesse, I see you sneaking.
Me?
You're sneaking. You're pretending not to be here, pretending not to play any video games, because that Hollywood lifestyle, you got to go and jet setter. Go get her. Tell me about video games.
That I don't know. I feel like I'm the same boat as Dukes with this one, but I'm gonna try my best to describe it without spoiling things because unfortunately it's short.
God damn it, we're having a hell of a show when it comes to that today.
I know. Well, like sometimes I feel like I play a game and I try to explain it on the podcast, and then the next week you'll have played it and you'll explain it so much better.
Infinitely better,
Well, that
yeah.
is
No,
my
it's-
job,
Infinitely
but
better. And
I
I'm
don't
just
know
like,
about
I don't.
Anyway,
Played it.
I-
Total
really
biscuit.
a problem of affluence to be having.
What?
Like that means you like the game too much to not say spoiler things about it.
Oh, I thought you were going to go into some big privilege argument or something, but no,
he is
okay.
more privileged. TB is
Apparently. Yes.
oh.
In every aspect
Wait.
of my life.
Wait, Bunny, so you're saying that truly we should all not give a fuck about spoilers if we truly want to deliver the information?
No, no, no,
I
no.
think if what I'm saying is that if you liked the games less, you'd probably be less enthusiastic to talk about the real meat of it, the nitty gritty,
No,
the stuff that
no.
like could be construed as a spoiler. It's
you
why
just
it's like
gotta
a good problem to have. It means you're not just saying what it is, you're
Yeah.
saying what happens
we want
with it.
people. We want the people to find out for
You want them
themselves
to
to have the same
understand.
experience we did.
Well, yeah, exactly. You want them to share in that. You know, it's why you speak passionately about something like Sexy Brutale or whatever, because you want other people to do it. But then you don't want to spoil it, of course, because they'll be maybe less willing to give it a shot.
Thus it is a problem, but it's a good problem to have.
That's fair.
Hmm.
All right, I'll take that argument. That's okay. Welcome to the Co-optional Podcast, where we occasionally allude to video games. You know,
Well, let me
we
allude
talk
to one.
around them. Yes,
Go for it.
give me some illusion. Give me
Okay,
the
so
illusion of
Scanner-
illusion.
Scanner Sombre.
Oh, you played that. Right, okay.
I
Scanner
did.
Sombre, yes. From Introversion, weirdly enough, the guys that brought you Prison Architect and then decided to make a weird walking simulator with a lot of strange colors.
Yeah, so this game has an amazing concept, beautiful sound design. Like, put on some headphones and get taken away to this creep fest is what this is.
Okay.
Essentially, I mean, I wish I could say that I was trying to avoid spoiling the plot. Real talk, the plot like, you're going to go explore this mysterious cave because there might be a cult or something in it. You don't know, but you're going to go explore it. And that's like the
It-
basis for what you're doing. And so you go through and mechanically it's fucking awesome looking. You are scanning and that is that's the only way you see this cave. So you're basically scanning the cave and bringing it into reality as you go through. And of course, as you go through the process of this game, it goes from being like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, look at that, to suddenly very scary, to very tense. There are a lot of like horror moments in this game where you're like, whoa.
This is like a very easy game to do horror in, considering you can't see shit until you scan it, so you could very easily have
Right.
something pop up.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that sometimes you scan something, you see it like in the distance, you're like, uh-oh. And other times you turn to scan, it's like, boop, you're like, whoa. Yeah. So with that all said, the story is minimal at best, and at some point goes from tense horror to absurd, like utter absurdity. And that's all I'm gonna say. If you really want to play it, the game is like 2 hours long, maybe 2 hours. There is no VO, and it's a walking simulator. Like at its core, it's just a straight up walking simulator. And the horror isn't because the game's scary, it's because of the premise of you scanning and can find things. And because the game is creepy, those creepy elements make it scary.
Okay.
So it sounds like there aren't like monsters that chase after you that you need to scan to know where they are at.
Nope.
That's
Not a little bit of fatal
pretty,
frame in there.
pretty disappointing.
No, you're oh God. Let me just say there's a reason for all that, because the end again, absurdity. Dodger, I think you should play this. We can talk about it next week. The end is absurd. And then there's a new game plus. So when you go back in New Game Plus, you can find new things. And there's something at the beginning of New Game Plus that sort of explains the ending, but at the same time, you're like, what? And so it's I have no better way of describing it except it's gorgeous to look at. The sound design is amazing. It really, really puts you in that cave. And it's like, if I didn't scan and I said to listen, this is like terrifying. And still has no story. Like, has no story. And I checked it out because I was thinking this seems like a horror game and it might be great for Scary Game Squad.
Yeah.
And I went in to go check it out, and holy shit, it's not a scary game, but it does have some horror elements.
That gimmick, just at first sight of the trailer, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that's a strong gimmick, but
right?
But the way you're describing it sounds like it's such a skin deep gimmick.
Yeah, I think I hate to say this, but it feels almost like a tech demo for a much cooler game. Like, it's so short and you're just getting on the surface of like this thing. There are no voices, and every so often you get like a little thing of text that gives you sort of this is what your character's thinking about. But it's all kind of like philosophical mumbo jumbo.
That's almost like a parody of what walking simulators are.
Yeah, I wish
me.
it was more.
Like a black screen with some like mogwai post rock with text fading on that says something like, I never felt until this moment. Then you walk to the end of a dark tunnel and then another text appears.
We should make a parody walking simulator.
It would be so easy.
It shouldn't be too
It would
hard,
write
right?
itself.
Yeah, you just have to make them move really slowly. We could literally buy a default set of levels from Unity, just like any of those spooky mansions or abandoned asylum or whatever, just maybe change a couple of things and just have you move very slowly, and at certain points it triggers one of us saying something pseudo deep that makes absolutely no sense.
And at the very end of the game,
God.
At the very end of the game, you open a door and we reveal that it's about obsessive compulsive disorder.
Wow.
Done. There you go. It always has to have another level.
Of course.
Boom.
Yeah, the whole
Boom.
game is
Done.
about something else.
We
You
just
can-
blew your
you can
mind.
just rewrite Jaden Smith tweets and with like bigger words.
Oh.
Have those like slowly fade onto the screen.
Can we
at
mix
the
in
end
the
of every tunnel.
occasional Donald Trump speech segment as
Yeah,
well?
just rewrite it to
unaltered.
sound a little
No,
less obvious as him, and
I don't think you need to rewrite it because it's hard to figure out like the parody in those anyway half the time because they don't make any actual sense. So just put some
it
of
would
that
be
in there.
hard to write them in the first place.
God, I've seen people try to parody Trump and it's not as funny as the real thing. It's sorry.
One of the more fun articles I read during the election season last year was how it's actually been really tough on English teachers.
Yes.
Who are like having to teach English with the example of the most popular English quotes being tossed around, just sounding not like what the students are being taught at all.
Well, it was a nightmare for translators and other like foreign news networks have been complaining. It's like we don't want to incorrectly translate what the president of the United States
can't
says,
figure out
but
what
we
the
just don't know
subject of
what
the
it is.
sentence is.
Can you help? Anyway, we'll move rapidly away from that,
Oh
as
my
amusing
God.
as it is.
I just want to put this out there for the internet. Imagine
Oh, what are you doing now?
Imagine opening a door and Dodger's voice says this: don't become attached, because then you disconnect. And once you gather stress, you'll be obsessed with flipping checks. Jaden Smith.
Well, no, don't name who it is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. No, that's the
ruins
twist
the
of
whole
the end.
thing.
You're Jaden Smith. The end of this is
I'm
you're-
Jaden Smith.
And
Yeah.
when you open the door, it's Twitter.
When you open the door, it just opens up a web browser.
Yeah, and it takes you to Twitter.
It takes you to Twitter.
It takes
it
you
to
to
Twitter.
it takes you to your own Twitter.
Whoa.
It's a 30-minute game about self-reflection.
Holy
Oh.
shit.
Yeah. Oh god,
I like it.
We have got to make a fake walking simulator now. All right, I'm gonna find someone that has basic Unity knowledge. I'm gonna pay for some assets, and we're gonna do this shit.
No, do a Kickstarter.
No,
Start a Kickstarter in complete like faux sincerity.
we can't ask
Like-
people for
like
money for
Monty
this.
was salad of video games. Guys,
Yeah,
not
every,
fair to ask
every
for
tier
money.
is just like, thanks.
Yeah.
There's like no extra gifts.
We
Thanks.
got to get it in for Steam Direct though. We got to get this shit greenlit. I'm gonna find a bunch of Russians to vote for our game. We'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Oh man.
Just as long as at the end I unzip my body and I'm Jaden Smith.
Yes.
Oh no, the player's Jaden Smith.
No.
But
the
no,
player is
the-
not
the-
I
there is
unzip
Jade-
my body, and I am Jaden Smith. The
again,
end.
she is a reflection of you as the player, who is, of course, Jaden Smith.
Oh
Obviously.
my god.
Yeah, because when you back up, because you walk up to me, we have a dialogue. I unzip. I'm Jaden Smith. You back up. It's a mirror.
I can't wait for endless, for just an endless fucking series of video essays on this. You know, I can't wait for the errand signal video on our fake walking game simulator. It's going to be great. Oh, man. All right. Who else has been playing anything else this week? Oh, you know what? Actually, I'm going to hijack this motherfucker.
Go
Uh,
for
Your
it.
own podcast? Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Go
hijacking my
on.
own podcast. I'm going full Jaden Smith on this. I
Wow.
want to know. Tell me about that Metal Gear Solid pachinko machine. You went to
Oh.
Japan.
Oh yeah.
You played stranger things than we have ever possibly. Why am I not doing sentences well today? It was all going so well into that final word that just flopped on its face. I need to jump cut my own podcast at this point. Fuck's sake. Yeah, tell me about those pachinko
I
machines.
played Stranger Things. I played some actual arcade games that were weird. I finally got around to playing the Left 4 Dead arcade cabinet. That thing buys you
Oh,
like 30
yeah.
minutes
Hmm.
for a 100 yen coin, which is about $1.
Okay.
And after a while, you're just playing Left 4 Dead with bots. If you buy one of the $3 game cards, you can play online with other Japanese people. But the thing is, like,
That's a
it's
strange
basically
one.
Left 4 Dead, but with like a quick swap, dirty source port job of changing out the character models to look more like Japanese characters, which is still weird because it still has you going through the Left 4 Dead 2 campaigns in Louisiana. like they look really out of place. Anyways, I after 30 minutes of playing Left 4 Dead by myself with bots, I really wanted to get out of there, but I have never before in my life wanted to lose a game that wouldn't let me lose harder than when I was playing Metal Gear Solid Pachinko.
Okay.
Metal Gear Solid Pachinko is a patchy slot machine that takes bills, not coins. And the smallest bill they have in glorious Nippon is equivalent to about 10 US dollars. They
Okay,
they don't have singles. They use coins for what are to us like $1 and $5 denominations. So you put a $10 bill in, and then you're just kind of along for the ride for however long those $10 are going to last you. And in this case, it was about 1 hour of us just sitting there. Occasionally I would like change the seat out with a friend of mine so they could get the experience. But
You
it
want a
was the
slot
same
machine
either
for an
way.
hour on $10.
They wanted to leave and we hadn't yet finished the game. So it was like we'd be wasting our money if we did. So the way patchy slots works, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but they basically play a video that's like supposed to be an episode of your favorite anime or cutscenes strung together of your favorite video game. And as you put in money and roll the slot machine, it occasionally matches up symbols and plays another 4 seconds of your favorite episode until maybe by the end of the entire day you spend in there at the machine, you might see a full episode of The Thing. And in this case, that thing is a not real Fox Engine remake of MGS3 so much as it's pre-rendered FMVs styled to look like Fox Engine renders. And with that kind of decision, like that's the kind of aesthetics that just makes you want to know what happened previously. like everyone knows what happens next. There's a shitty gambling machine. You put money into it, maybe you get a story with some pretty cutscenes. But how they came about creating these Fox Engine style renders of like the fan favorite Metal Gear game that isn't even the highest selling or highest rated one, well, depending on the version, I guess. But there's not naturally, like the conspiracy theorist in you wants to assume that they were really making a real remake of MGS3
And they
that all
decided
these
just
assets
to
came
repurpose
from.
it into the gambling side of
Yeah.
things when Konami
they
bailed on real video games.
booted everyone. All the people who could actually finish the project either decided to leave and got fed up, or Konami themselves got fed up and trashed it and threw it into this gambling machine for a quick and dirty buck that still requires them to make a shitload of big, expensive, flashy machines, buy space in all these parlors for it, and only make money off of a very small segment of a big industry. It's this old people in Japan who probably don't know what Metal Gear is and probably won't really be super attracted to the machine out of the pile of the girls on Panzer and Monster Hunter machines that are right next to it.
So you
And-
So you
It's
just kind of
baffling.
like question you on that one, because obviously you've been to Japan like a bunch, and I've been to Vegas quite a lot, and I've seen the changes in the kind of machines that they've started to put into these places to attract a younger audience, because people of our generation, because we grew up with actual video games, we expect more out of what a slot machine is
Oh, yeah.
boring. Like,
Yeah,
generally,
yeah,
a slot
yeah.
machine is boring. So I play something like the Plants vs. Zombies 3D slot machine, which I think is in the Bellagio.
We don't like
I play
gambling, which is actually a huge
No,
problem
no,
with
we
the
don't.
industry. Like, there are all these
Yeah.
incredibly patronizing articles that are going on about how millennials are destroying the gambling industry.
Oh no.
Well, the
wow,
answer,
what
you
a
remember
problem.
that incredible tweet where I think it was like Time Magazine or the Wall Street Journal or something, it's like, why are millennials not buying diamonds anymore? And someone replies to that, said, I work at a grocery store. And it's
Yeah.
just that is the encapsulation of everything, regarding all these insane, completely out of
Not
touch things.
acknowledging the economic times a different generation has to deal with. Anyways,
Without question. And of course, they're
yeah.
boring. They're boring things. You sit there and you press a button. They only recently brought legislation in the past couple of years that will allow Nevada to have skill-based slot machines. Before that, it was literally illegal to have any skill element in a slot machine.
Oh, because then they could fool you into thinking your inputs matter and hook you harder.
Yeah, although inexplicably that doesn't apply to video poker, and I don't know why that is, despite the fact it's still covered by slot law. That one doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but hey, never mind.
In this case, for pachinko in Japan, it's I was told by an expat who lives there that it's almost like something for old people to do with their time when after they've retired, when they don't have a lot going on with their lives, like this guy would frequently wake up every morning to see the same people waiting in line for the patchy parlor to open up, and it would just would become part of their routine. And that's I don't know, that kind of like explains part of that.
It's English culture they call it the amusements in England. And every even the smallest village will have what is a tiny shitty casino which is nothing but machines called the amusements, and it is mostly old people that go there. Yeah. I think it's a pretty similar situation.
I've heard theories that they also have a lot of video game brands and patchy parlors to give old people ideas for what to give their younger relatives and kids as gifts.
That is
which
very
is so
interesting.
Weird because they're not making any more Metal Gear games.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Because again, I don't see why. It's like, if they're not trying to attract a younger audience into these parlors with these video game related IP, because for me, if I was going to play slots, I want to play one that's a theme that I'm interested in, which is why I sat down and played the Plants vs. Zombies 3D one, and it was impressive in terms of its technology. It had this big fucking curved screen that curved in. The 3D was glassesless, and it was very good, and it was creepy, no doubt.
Terrifyingly a similar impression with Metal Gear Solid Pachinko.
Yeah,
this is definitely a fancier machine. There's more going on with it. It looks.
But you're saying they're not trying to draw in the 25 to 30-year-old Metal Gear Solid fans to this?
Maybe they are. Maybe this is a tactic to get young people into patchy parlors. For what it's worth, the youngest people I saw in every patchy parlor I've been on both of these trips were the staff.
Yeah,
the clientele. No one looked under 40. The staff looked like a lot of mid-20s underemployed out of college types.
Almost seems like
are the ones replying to those Twitter posts.
Yeah, it almost seems like it's just you guys. It's a curio for those who come to Japan, especially for the video game culture. So it's like you go to Akihabara, you go check out the game stores, then you go to Apache slot and play fucking Metal Gear Solid or sexy erotic violence Castlevania or whatever.
Yeah, they're sexy erotic patchy slot machines, but they can't get too sexy. I don't know. The line is drawn in a much different way in Japan, but for Metal Gear Solid Pachinko, you get cutscenes of not a lot of sexy or scary or violent stuff happening. Really, really, really cartoony action of Snake throwing out magazines and flipping boxes on top of his head to sneak past guards if your slots line up right.
Yeah.
If they don't, you just gotta watch the same 4-second loop of him preparing to do it over and over.
Oh, really? Wow, okay.
Yeah, and that's how they progress the story. Eventually, though, there was a boss fight. There was a slot machine boss fight.
Okay.
Where two characters were engaging in one-on-one combat in which they were shooting guns at each other and the bullets ricocheted off their skin.
What?
Yeah, like I said, they cartoony up the violence more so than in the original game. But there would be chunks of health taken out of Snake's health bar and Ocelot's health bar, and they would be determined by your slot rolls. So you had a combat system that was literally all dice rolls.
Okay.
And we lost the boss fight. And I don't know if there's like supposed to be a slot machine version of a quick save system or something going on here, or maybe we're just too stupid and ignorant and can't read enough moon runes to understand how to play the game right. But it did throw us all the way back to the very beginning of the process for quote unquote losing this slot machine boss fight. And that was about 30 minutes in, and we got up to just before the boss fight after the next 30 minutes, and then finally ran out of tokens that the $10 bill had spat out and given us. And then we had to go.
I'm
and
not sure I
continue
want
on
to
with
sit
our
there for an
lives.
hour. Unless I was winning, like, considerable amounts of money, I don't think I'd want to be there for that long, honestly, because those things are not entertaining for more than about 10 minutes. The only entertaining aspect is I am shoving money into this thing, and it might give me more money back.
Physiologically unhealthy to be in there for an hour if you don't have earplugs. This is
it's very
how
loud.
I knew what a weirdo I am. Was last year I'd been to patchy slots. I did a video about patchy slots, and they're really unreasonably loud in there. And so I knew to bring earplugs. This time I brought friends with me, and they were yelling at me through the noise, yelling like, "George, what do we do? Our ears are gonna burst if we stay in here." And I pulled out the little Ziploc sandwich baggie of earplugs I had ready, and was like, "Wait, you guys didn't bring this?"
You're like a local guide. You're the Sherpa of the pachinko parlors.
I really like, speaking of self-reflection, like immediately looked at myself in that moment and was like, wait a minute, maybe I'm the weirdo.
Why do you keep coming to this country?
To make wacky videos.
To make weird videos.
Yeah, I got more videos on the way. I'm going back.
This is why you keep getting sick. You keep heading out there. Eventually, you'll get immune to all the germs, though. Eventually.
That's a worthy bullet to take. You know, I like to have my fun at my own expense. It's a real reminds me that karma exists, I guess.
Well, flying to Japan is certainly having fun at your own expense. No doubt about that. Jesse, did you play anything else this week? That's
Not
it.
really.
It's kind of Sombre.
Yep, that's all.
Okay.
I mean, trying to think of anything else. Most of it was just
you are
stuff
busy.
that I have already been playing.
Yep. Dodger, anything else you got on the pile
Yeah,
there?
I also did the first chapter of the Telltale Guardians of the Galaxy.
Ah, yeah. What do you reckon?
Is it a Telltale game?
It's yeah, for sure. But it's also probably, as a person who still enjoys those, like I still enjoyed the Batman one. I love the Borderlands one. Like I'm fine with the format as long as it runs well, right? And as long as it progresses at a nice pace. This one had moments where I was like, there it is. Yeah, okay. Overall, pacing was all over the place. The models kept just like adjusting themselves in weird way, like
were they uncomfortable?
Like say that this is on a table, right? They would go to pick something up and it would just jump into their hands, like crazy shit like that. Where I was like,
oh my god!
It felt like it was the weakest one I had played in a really long time. Mostly just because it didn't run correctly. It didn't feel like it ran right.
It's an old engine. They've been running that engine for like
really
5 years or whatever.
Yeah. It was fine. I didn't think that it was amazing. Whoever's doing the voice for Rocket Raccoon nailed it.
Cool, glad to hear it.
But overall, yeah, it was just like it felt like there were jumps, like story jumps, where they would be one place and then suddenly they were somewhere else. And I was like, oh, okay, no mid ground there. That's fine.
Yeah.
And yeah, the model, just the way that the models worked, sometimes they would start they would do one of those weird shots where you're walking down a hallway and they let you walk down the hallway. I would press W to move forward, and I would just like the hall was angled a little bit to give you an interesting shot to look at. But if I press W, I would run into the wall.
I know. It's just like they put those little bits of interactivity to remind us, like, we're still a board game. It was board game? Fuck my brain.
It's the best board game.
Yeah, we're still a video game, guys. Honest.
Yeah, so I was having to alternate W and D to like wiggle my way down this hallway. And I was like,
that
no,
is
this is Borks.
silly.
This is
No.
Borks. This isn't.
So, did you guys see that Waypoint article that came out a week ago, specifically about how behind the times Telltale's animation technology is?
No, I mean, I
No.
didn't really need to read an article about that. I know it's like 10 years out of date, but was there anything they said specifically there that most people wouldn't know?
A source told me that even as the company was writing the success of The Walking Dead, their engine didn't have a physics system. If a designer came up with a scene requiring a ball to roll across the floor or a book to fall off a shelf, it had to be done by hand, an enormous time and resource commitment.
Wow.
God, update that shit. Just commit. They're getting such big contracts with big like,
IP.
I don't.
They
Yeah,
can afford it. They can
they
afford
can
an
afford
Unreal
it.
Engine license.
It just becomes a super shame. It's like you're getting access to IP that other developers can only dream of, and this is what you're doing with it. It's
Right? It's weird to me.
just.
But I
yeah.
think it's also comes down to how fast they can turn stuff around.
Well, yeah, because they're working on too many licenses of too many games simultaneously.
And so they can say to someone like, yo, we can get this up before your movie comes out, though.
Yeah.
So
They could save time by having a physics engine.
they could, but that's a
Probably.
lot of commitment moving forward that then they'd have to put stuff on hold
They
because
have to like roll everybody into a new system.
Yeah.
and I don't think they're willing to do that right now, which sucks because it needs it badly.
I think most people didn't even realize that the Guardians of the Galaxy one came out.
No, flew right under the radar on most people, I think.
It did.
Yeah, same with the
I-
Minecraft one that happened where people were just like,
Well,
Dude,
people just
yeah,
got
the
confused
Minecraft
about
one-
that.
The first chapter came out and I actually thought that it was really cute. And then jump forward however long and somebody in my chat was like, hey, when are you going to play the rest of Minecraft? And I was like, what do you mean? The entire fucking thing came out
yeah.
and I had no idea. The first chapter, I was like, oh, yep, there it is. None of the other chapters ever, I didn't even know.
They just threw them out and didn't bother to tell people, yeah.
The thing that got me about the Minecraft one, like that was really the last straw for me. You can fail most of the QTEs in that and the animation won't even change. Like your
Yeah.
character will stumble his way over a block that you press W for, but it's animated in a way so that it like would look right whether you failed or succeeded the QTE.
Mm.
Batman, definitely there were a few times where I hit the wrong button in a QTE initially and then hit the right button and it would be like, oh yeah, you got it. And I was like, that's not how QTE, like I was
They're not
angry.
even
I was
pretending
angry that it let me
Congratulations.
succeed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I
did
was
it.
just like, no.
How
I didn't land
patronizing is
punch.
that?
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
It's like
Yeah,
just
that's sad.
stick,
Yeah,
to,
I
stick
don't-
to the actual QTE.
I haven't played a Telltale game in a while. You know, it's like I understand your formula now. It would have to be an IP that I was very interested in order to play one of those again. I hope they eventually change their engine and rethink the way that they do things because I just don't care anymore.
Batman was really such a chance for them to update it too. Like that's the kind of universe that like calls for reflective wet streets with like bump mapped asphalt all over the place. And when I first saw the first screenshots of everyone looking so flatly textured with such like little interesting things going on with the lighting, I was like, oh, they're really committed to not updating this stuff, aren't
It's
they?
gnarly. Yeah.
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 I did enjoy the Batman one though. I was confused because when the first chapter came out, all of the reviews were bad, saying that the game just like wouldn't run. And I downloaded it and it ran perfectly fine.
Yeah,
for me.
it had some issues with
So-
some people on launch. I think they mostly resolved those.
Yeah.
The curse of Batman on PC, apparently. It's not the first time it's happened.
Right?
So-
Every Batman game cursed.
Yeah. I dusted off my Vita. You know, I was talking about the whole Persona 5 issue where it's like, that thing ain't portable. It's like, really? Cause I think I got myself some Persona 5 Golden going on right there. You see? Oh, I hit the menu button, I think. No, that's...
Yeah, we're just looking at a black
Yeah,
screen.
It was
It was working. There
fine
was
for like 2
brief moment.
seconds.
It was working.
What did
I saw him
press?
run.
What did I press? God fucking damn
You
it.
might have just turned it
It's-
off.
I think it's the
End of days.
screensaver. God, I can even hear the music for the damn thing. Yeah, I let it on idle too long. I let the remote play idle too long, and it fucking disconnected me. It's like, come on, you. There we go. All right, I think it's back. Yes, there we go. There you go. There you go. That's a Persona 5 Golden. Honest, you know, that's a remote play Persona 5 on the Vita.
And it
Honestly,
runs fine.
oh god, it's impeccable. It's shockingly good. I had no idea. I mean, this isn't even playing at there's a high quality version which supports up to 60 frames. Obviously, that's not relevant to Persona because it doesn't run like that. Can't believe I pressed the off button. Yeah, but it looks great. I mean, this is an original Vita, the one with the OLED screen, which the colors really pop on that really nicely. There's no noticeable latency. I put it right up next to the monitor and looked at them. I could barely tell the difference. You know, obviously I'm playing it very close to the wireless router in there, and it's like, yeah, it's fine. I wouldn't play it outside the house, but yeah, it's perfect. And Persona, it doesn't really have the problems with the 4 buttons. A lot of the remote play issue with the Vita is that it's only got 2 shoulder buttons. So you've got to use the back touchpad for the LR and R2. But that's not actually a big deal in Persona. Those buttons aren't really used all that much. So in an action game, it might be, because if you fumble that, you're probably screwed. But in a turn-based RPG, no, it doesn't matter. It looks great, sounds great, streams really smoothly. I was super impressed by it. So yeah,
TB, I'm never gonna stop playing this game now. I can just play. I could just shut it off in the living room and then go to bed and play it some more.
Yep, you don't need to. And it's an instant resume as well. If you leave your PS4 on sleep mode and you go to PS4 Link on the Vita, hit remote play, it'll turn the PS4 on, and then it brings up your PS4 screen, just, you know, your start screen. If you hit Persona and that's the one you had suspended, you're right back in the game immediately. It's pretty fucking great. Not. Like, I need to just sit down and get it. Like I said, I'm only a few hours in. I
want to talk to you about this game sometime.
It ain't gonna happen yet. Maybe in a month. I don't know. We'll see. But I also picked up, I thought, hey, this would be a great thing for Darkest Dungeon, because they have a version of Darkest Dungeon on this thing. Problem is, they were supposed to do the Radiant patch for this. They obviously did that in February on PC, and like, yeah, it's coming soon to Vita and console. It's not there yet. I don't even know if it ever will be. You know, that's the biggest problem with using something like this for indie games that get constantly updated. It's
much harder to update. You can't just like constantly patch games.
No, because you've got to go through Sony's bullshit and you have to pay for it and everything. And I was thinking to myself, you know, I want something portable that I can run a bunch of PC specific indie games on. And of course, you know, so what did I do but finally dig out the Razer Edge Pro. This is far too fucking large.
That looks like
the first time
Nintendo
you showed that
Switch,
to us, and we were like, "Is that a
Nintendo,
spaceship?
bitch."
The fuck?"
Yeah.
It looks like a Chinese knockoff Wii accessory.
Yeah, more like a Nintendo bitch. Am I right? I get up and I do 20 curls with this every fucking day.
Wow.
Like i7 fucking 640 GT.
Necessary.
Yeah, they only ever made one run of those. They never made them again. The problem is the batteries are fucked on it. Like, they brought them out in 2013. I managed to boot the thing up with the power adapter. It will not boot up in any other way. I think both the batteries are either broken or there's some driver issue with them. So I had the thing plugged in, and it's like, yeah, you have Windows 8. That's obsolete. You need Windows 8.1, but we can't update because your Windows Update is too out of date. Do you want to update your Windows Update so you can update Windows? It's like, yeah, I'd like to do that. 3 hours later, after updating the fuck out of Windows 8, it's like, yeah, it runs fine as long as it's plugged in. But the batteries on it, I think they're just dead. I can't charge them. I'm talking to Razer at the moment over their tech support to see if there's a way to do it. But I was thinking, hey, I could use this for... I could probably jury rig remote play on that, because that's a like 10-inch fucking 16:9 screen that would be really nice for that. And the controller case is something no one else has done. This controller case, as far as I can tell. Like, I think there's a couple of knockoff Android tablets that do it, but this is the big thing about it. I mean, it'd be nice if this didn't weigh like 5 pounds, but this is the Switch before the Switch even existed, you know? The controller case is the big deal because it lets you hold a tablet while also having full controller access. People were saying to me, oh, get the Surface 4 Pro or whatever. It's no use because I've got to stand it on something and then just use a controller. I want to be able to hold the thing. And that's why the Switch is great. You know, that's why the Switch was an awesome idea. But that came out, this was 4 years before that. I want some other Windows tablet to do that. Because look at the library on Steam. Look at how many fucking games are on Steam. I think you use your Vita mostly for Binding of Isaac. Now you use the Switch for that, right? Like, it was a Binding of Isaac machine for you for ages. And of course, there's a few great indie ports on the Vita that are worth playing. But of course, most people don't bother porting there anymore because it's not a good market. I could just play. There's so many indie games on Steam I'd love to play portably, but there's no good Windows tablet with a controller to let me do it. I want one. There's Android tablets, but nobody ports anything to fucking Android. Android's a fucking wasteland when it comes to games right now. It's hopeless. Totally hopeless. But yeah, the Vita's nice for that. And I also re-downloaded Tactics Ogre, Let Us Cling Together, because I never got around to finishing that game. And that's really, really great. I'd love more indies on the Vita, but I understand why they don't bring them in there. At least I'm playing Danganronpa 2 on it, so is that. And they'll probably bring the next Danganronpa to it, but right now the only new games that are coming on the Vita are visual novels and J-Dungeon crawlers. That's it. That's all you
We
get.
have one of those today.
That doesn't surprise me somehow. It does not surprise me. You still have the old back catalog PSP games, though. They're all great. A lot of great shit there.
Jesse, weren't you playing Orcs Must Die?
I did.
A bunch this week?
It's Orcs Must Die Unchained. It was for a brand deal that Gerard.
But you did
look,
play it, yeah.
Yeah, look, I'll be honest. I think it's super fun, but I just like Orcs Must Die in general. This is just sort of the Orcs Must Die free to play, but if you want, you have to spend money to upgrade certain things game.
The story behind the development of this thing is crazy, because when they originally announced this, they say, we're going to make a MOBA with Orcs Must Die. And they spent like 3 years trying that and having beta and early access and completely changing their mechanics and shit. Eventually, they just tapped the fuck out and went back to saying, it's a free-to-play Orcs Must Die. We've gone back to what you liked about Orcs Must Die 1 and 2. We're just going to make it free-to-play. We're going to put like 17 characters in it. There's supposedly this interesting mode, which is a 3v3 defense mode with some competitive elements called Sabotage that looked pretty cool, where you just get to fuck with the other guys as they try to defend, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's and that's how you, and by doing that, and there's the normal mode where you're defending against orcs and other things, you unlock chests, and the chests give you cards, and it's very much like Clash Royale, where you get the cards, and then after like 50 cards, you can upgrade a trap or whatever.
I would get bored of that quite quickly, I think.
And so, truthfully, I it's tower defense at its core, and so that's my shit. Like, I love that stuff, and I know to many people that's just like barf, but for me, that's all I played back in the RTS days.
I think Orcs Must Die was a good tower defense, though, because it's not just build towers, it's build traps to fling orcs into spiky pits and fire. That's good. That's good, clean fun.
That's one of the really great, there's a level that Gerard and I played where there's slime and like ooze around it, and so we did fling traps, and we just fling guys into the slime and kill them instantly, and it was hilarious to do, and it was a ton of fun, and I love coming up with weird strats like that. And then there's, all right, well, maybe we instead build barriers and then funnel them through shit while we kill them. There's a lot of ways to go. I think it's, at its core, it's still Orcs Must Die, and it's a ton of fun. But if you're one of those people that just can't deal with MOBA stuff, and or not MOBA, but like mobile kind of sales tactics, then this probably
free to play nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you can buy a hero pack, you can avoid unlocking all the heroes, but if you're saying that there's like an endless treadmill of trap upgrading, I probably would not. I mean, Orcs Must Die 1 and 2 were standard buy once games. I can see this working free to play, but simultaneously being just a giant grind.
Well, it's not endless trap up. There's like a certain level that you can get to, then it caps. But like, it's the process of grinding to that cap. But the way it works is it's like, let's say Spike Trap 1, you upgrade to Spike Trap 2. And then Spike Trap 2 to 3, 3 now opens up a square where you can add something to that trap. So maybe it's electric now, or maybe it slows them and spikes them or something. And then from 3 to 4, it's like another upgrade. So now it's like a level 3 spike trap that electrocutes them. And then you can add another thing to it. So you can like buff and change them. So there's all sorts of cards and things you can do. You can change your character's loadout in your build. There are different heroes that you can place that will protect you or buff you or heal you. There's a lot of things to it. There are different actual heroes that you play as. Again, it's one of those things where there's a lot of cards you can get because there's a lot of things you can do. So much like loot crates, loot boxes in every other game, it's like, oh, well, I got 5 upgrades to this and one thing that like changes this and a new guardian. And so it isn't all just upgrades to your initial traps, which is
Okay.
like, all right.
As long as it's not just straight up upgrades, like it's 10% better. It's like, oh, that's boring.
No. It's
You can
nothing
do
crazy
upgrades, do them fun, make them interesting. Didn't you have the Niddhogg 2 fellows show up at your office?
I did, and it was super fun. Niddhogg 2 is great. It plays exactly like Niddhogg 1, except
They've
there are
completely
a few
changed the
more
art
maneuvers
style
you
for
can
it,
do.
haven't they?
You can basically it's Niddhogg 1, except a redesign of the world, so it looks more crazy and wild and insane. There are all sorts of different weird levels, and you can crawl, you can throw, you can slide, you can do bow and arrow tricks. There's all sorts of different things you can do to the game, and then you can stomp people out and beat them up. I don't quite remember everything you could do in the first one, so if I'm repeating something that you could do in the first one, God bless.
I don't remember the bow and arrow being in the first Niddhogg.
There's daggers, and there's a giant bastard sword, and then there's the normal like pokey sword, whatever the hell that thing's called. And there's all sorts of different things that you can do, but at the end of the day, at its core, it's Niddhogg, and I think it's super fun.
What did they do to the art?
That's one of the things
that's
that
the
a lot of
first
people-
thing I said.
Yeah.
It's like, what the? It's a really jarring change. You know, obviously the first one looked like an Atari 2600 game. The art style is bizarre.
Everyone looks like Homer Simpson.
I said they look like Bert and Ernie, but same thing. They look like Muppets. But here's what I will say. I thought about this a while too, because I truly, because it is jarring. Like, it looks totally different. It's no longer stick figures. Everything's bizarre and creepy and like ugly almost looking. And I had the thought the other day after the video came out, and I saw all the comments that were just like, God, this game looks ugly. I think when you come down to it, if you're the dev of this game, what do you change about your game? When you make the sequel, either you put out the exact same game, in which case people are gonna be like, it's the exact same game, or you change graphically what the game is and go a different direction graphically, because you can change nothing else, because Niddhogg at its core is literally just kill and run a direction, right?
Well,
and so,
I mean, you can add more stuff, obviously, which they evidently did, you know, with the bows and arrows and different weapon types and such.
Right, but I think like it's the dev trying to offer more than just like a quick first game was cool, so I'm gonna cash grab this next one. I don't know. I literally do not know. It's very different. It's very different.
The thought that they'd rather endure the criticism of the art looking worse than endure the criticism of reusing the old art.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Like,
I wonder if even if it is more a business decision, surely, because, you know, if you do make something that does look identical to the previous one, a lot of people are just going to turn around and say, well, I've already owned that, you know, I've already. So if you make something look radically different, which this fucking does, I mean, I'm looking at the gameplay, and it's like, yeah, the gameplay is very Niddhogg, clearly. There are some parts of this I really enjoy. The gleeful stomping on the face shit, where the guy looks really happy that he's doing it, is fucking hilarious to me. But there's no doubt that these models look weird. The backdrops look, you know, overly colorful. There's a bit of the grotesque going on with it. Yeah, it's a risk. I mean, I guess I call it ballsy, though, on their part.
Yeah, it's definitely a different direction, and I think it's one of those things that if the gameplay is there, people eventually won't give a damn about how it looks, because the first one was the exact opposite. It was minimal, and people
very minimal,
and so people didn't care that it was minimalist because it played well and it was fun to play with your friends. And I think this is one of those things where it is a game that went the exact opposite direction. It went almost too much. Like, it's too weird.
The colors clash to me. Like, it's fundamentally almost uncomfortable to look at.
But apparently there are different colors and like character colors and skins and things that you can unlock as you play that can change who you look like.
So Niddhogg has a progression system now.
I don't know his progression. I'm
as
curious.
As long as it's
though,
cosmetic, I guess that's okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Duck Game has one now.
It does, yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, but people, of course,
it's in beta right now.
Not okay with the way it looks. But I will say, when you're playing it, that's not even remotely your concern. the way the world looks while you're playing it does not affect your reality at all because you're trying to murder this. Yeah, like you literally do not pay attention to anything but winning. A great example is when I played with Mark the dev, Gerard and Alex upstairs in the like gaming room in our office, and like it was silence with moments of swear words. That's literally what it was. Everyone was so focused on playing and trying to win, and I think that's what it's about. And to me, that's just a sign of a fun game. And that's what the first one was great. Like it's hard to deny the first one was a great game. And so
I loved it.
I hope that people will see this as a continued great game because I 100% support the hell out of it. But with that said, I do understand why everyone's like, it's ugly, because it kind of is. Like, it kind of is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a bit hideous, no doubt. Besides that, I'm just still grinding away on Battle Brothers, and actually that's the feeling I'm getting now that I'm grinding away and spinning
it's a grind now. Yeah.
I'm spinning away. I'm spinning my fucking wheels on it. Honestly, I really am. Like I almost feel like God, it's gonna take me so long to get where I want to go. I can't even get all my guys tier 2 equipment, and you know when I feel like I'm about to get somewhere, one of my high level dudes dies, and I'm like, well, fuck, you know. It feels even. We said this last week, you know, even with Darkest Dungeon, at least with that, when you upgrade a part of the town, that's permanent, with the exception of that weird event that happens. But because you are this mobile mercenary company, there's no permanence anywhere. So you can really get stuck in a rut. Like, it almost makes me feel like I want to restart the game, start better, play it better from the start, and then hopefully I'll have some much higher level dudes at this point. Because I'm like 30 hours in, and I'm still fighting the same guys with mostly the same gear, doing the same kind of missions. I still haven't got any fucking noble house to respect me so I can do military missions. Right. So I'm like, God, this is taking, you know, I like the battles, but this is taking forever. Which is a shame. I went and watched a high level dude on Twitch. He's like 1,800 days in, and he's got like everyone's level 30. He's wearing like this golden mythical armor with this magical sword and shit, and he's fighting a whole noble house on his own, which has 72 enemies. I'm like, wow, how long did this take you? Jesus.
Yeah, right?
I may
1,000 days in, like.
Yeah, I may not have the patience, and honestly, it doesn't really feel like the world is moving along. I know there's an end game event that occurs, but the world feels like it's stuck in a rut waiting for me to be amazing, and apparently I'm just not there yet. I still like the battles, but I play like about an hour a night, and I'm just like, oh, I'm not really getting anywhere here. Yeah. I think that's about it for games we've been playing this week. Should we take a break? Come back with some incredible news. We don't have that.
Sure.
You're watching the Corruptional Podcast. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Co-Optional Podcast and news. Well.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
There's some stuff.
There's little bits. I mean, Darksiders 3 has finally been announced.
Yo, I'm so excited. Except Darksiders 2 was kind of jank. But Darksiders 3, though!
They've had time.
Darksiders 3, maybe this time.
No,
Darksiders
2 is pretty good, honestly.
Can I say one thing, though, that I think is pretty effing dope? Darksiders 3, they went for a female lead this time. And I just want to reiterate.
Wasn't that the plan for like the last 10 years?
The last few games we've had... I'm sorry, what?
I thought that was the plan for like the last 10 years of the series, that it was going to be the 4 horsemen, but Fury was a woman. You know, that was always that way.
Yeah. But like...
I was going to say, this wasn't a recent change.
The idea that this is where they're like... I just think it's funny that if you go back 2 years, wasn't it... What is a lot of companies just like... I don't know, how do we pull this female lead thing off? Because like...
And now we've had so many dope ones.
Right? I think this goes back to something that's been said numerous times. It does not matter if the main character is male or female. It's about the fantasy of someone who's a badass and you playing said badass. It doesn't matter what their gender is, as long as that person is like fucking cool as shit, you're down. You're as a gamer, you're down. And I think that for so long it was just like, but can male players really relate to a woman? If she's kicking ass, everyone can relate to her.
The logic was that they didn't sell well.
Yeah,
but when like 4% of like the really good, truly above all other comparisons games had female leads were just those that exist, then like it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy.
it really is. Like,
'Cause-
to me, like that whole thing, the idea that, a man wouldn't play a woman is nonsense, that it's a non-issue. And if that fiction has been spread amongst
it's also been proven
the game,
wrong.
well, yeah,
over and
all
over
the time.
again.
yeah,
Tomb Raider was one
we
of
keep coming back to
example.
Tomb Raider, and it's not just that. Literally, League of Legends, Dota, two of the biggest games on the planet, full of female characters. No one has any issue playing them. Any fighting game ever, though, over the last 30 years, female characters, nobody had any issue playing any of those. And when it comes to, and when it comes to this
Horizon.
particular genre, it's like, oh, what a risk, female. It's like, Bayonetta would like a word with you, The fuck you talking about? Even other stuff like Heavenly Sword in that particular genre went with the same thing. Again, out of female lead. This isn't unusual. I don't know why. The problem is whenever people make a big deal about this sort of thing, it gives the impression that it is a big deal. And
Yeah.
I don't think it is, particularly in this genre. It's not. It's not. Like, this is a non-issue. And I mean, Fury as a female character, has been in the lore of Darksiders for the last 10 years. And when the plan was to give her a game until THQ folded. I'm glad that she's finally getting one. That's great.
Me too.
Yeah. So who's doing it nowadays?
That
What's
is
the
a good
team
question.
gonna be?
Who's doing the dev on this? Because
Vigil Games.
well, no,
were they?
Vigil were the original devs.
Yeah.
Are they
owned by-
still alive?
I'm looking into it now.
They're not, because they died with THQ.
One would think.
A lot of the staff joined a company called Gunfire. Who was making Darksiders 3? Because it's Nordic that owns the license now, isn't it? Because they picked up a bunch of shit from THQ. Yeah, it's Gunfire that's making it. Yeah, so Gunfire is a studio that's made a lot of the ex-Vigil dudes, and it's headed up by David L. Adams and Joe Madura or whatever, who are a lot of the ex-dudes, and they brought on a bunch of people from Darksiders and some new dudes. Simple as that. That's who's doing it. So yeah, should be most of the original dev team behind that.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like the series is going on as if nothing
is
ever
good.
happened, but it's surprising and kind of like reassuring to see developers pick up the pieces after THQ folded and their licenses just went all over the place. 'Cause,
Yeah,
I mean, like since then we've had a good Metro game. I mean, Saints Row had a weird spin-off sequel.
that wasn't
South
so
Park's
good.
still coming out with another one.
Yeah, after it's still delayed. They're still
Yeah,
holding on to that one.
when are we gonna get that butthole in our life?
I don't know. Apparently, it maybe is too fractured, but it may need some reconstructive surgery
Just far
before
too fractured.
it is displayed to the public. But yeah, THQ was there. They had the bones picked when it comes to good IP. I'm glad that most of them got picked up in some way. That's a good thing. But yeah, I don't know what's up with that. The footage, there's no gameplay, so we don't know really what's going on there. But it's good that it's coming. That's great. That series went under before its time, I think. No doubt about that.
Did they always plan it to be a quadrilogy?
I believe so. I believe the plan was to have one for each horseman. I think and the horsemen are not they're not Plague, Famine, etc. This is Fury, and I think the last one is Strife, who if I recall correctly, I don't know much about my Darksiders, or Strife was very gun-orientated. So we're not sure what we'll see with that. They may decide to change the genre, or they may just go full Bayonetta on it. Just say, hey, I got guns on my feet now. Fuck you. Could be.
Yeah.
Yep, so there's that. What else have we got? What else has been happening? Anything that's interested any
George
of you?
had a thing, didn't you?
Yeah. I was looking through the paltry bits of news that have released this week, and I think I'm most interested in, not necessarily most excited about, though, the details of the first Breath of the Wild DLC coming out.
Okay, what's it all about?
They're calling this the expansion pass DLC Pack 1. Not a very
Well,
easy
that
name
really
that rolls off the tongue.
Yep.
tongue, doesn't it? Yeah.
But you basically get a dungeon that has you doing wave survival challenges against enemies for 45 rooms. What's interesting about it, though, and what makes me feel a little envious that people with the season pass are going to get this, is that it does that thing that Eventide Island does, where you're naked. So in that case, it was a kind of like survival puzzle challenge where you have to collect things around an island while starting off completely with a blank slate of inventory. And this one, it's a combat challenge where you start off with a blank slate of no inventory. The official description on Zelda.com says Link starts the challenge without any equipment or weapons. When all the enemies in a room are defeated, Link proceeds to the next. Clear all trials, about 45 rooms in total, and the power of the Master Sword will be awakened, and it will always be in its glowing, powered-up state while usable, which sounds horrifically unbalancing for the rest of the game. But as a piece of end-game DLC, I guess that's a little more excusable.
Yeah, maybe it's just giving you an official cheat mode so you can fuck around with the rest of the game after
Right.
that.
Yeah,
That's what I
and
was thinking.
what really sucks about those things is that when you play the game, when you do what you're supposed to do, and you buy the game for $45 a year later with all the DLC pass stuff included, stuff like that can really muck with the balance of things later on.
That's something you just shouldn't touch. Like some DLC I know warns you. It's like, you can play this now, but you probably shouldn't until you're beating it. You know,
I'm
just leave
more
it be.
interested in the challenge than I am the reward, because Eventide Island was great, and I really wish there were more set pieces like that in the game than there actually were. So I'm happy to see them include more of those in the DLC. Everything else, though, sounds kind of meh. There's a
Sure sounds like Nintendo DLC, all right.
The extra map feature that everyone was already making fun of way back when they first announced this stuff turns out to basically be a button you can press that retraces your footsteps over the past 200 hours of gameplay, which if you're a normal person will be all of your time with the game. So it draws you a line for you. There's a hard mode that turns out to not actually be as interesting as I was hoping the hard mode would be. All enemies get buffed up to the next tier, and they also gradually regain health. So it basically turns enemies into spongier versions of enemies.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, and with a weapon durability system where weapons are as fragile as they are, I can't imagine that agreeing well with it. Like,
And then you get a Tommy gun.
I don't think
and
you
then,
do.
And then there's a Tommy gun in the DLC, right?
No, just
to deal with the sponge. No,
harder enemies. No, you don't.
Man, where did I read that?
I don't know. You might see some weird enemies floating around on platforms on balloon. That's interesting. That's cool.
Is this a bamboozle? Because I'm not sure I re-upped my bamboozle insurance.
It's a bamboozle. I'm sorry. No! I didn't mean to spring that on you.
We've been bamboozled.
Anyways,
bamboozle.
Yeah. When I was closing my eyes and picturing a hard mode in Breath of the Wild, I was picturing.
I often close my eyes and picture a hard mode, if you know what I mean.
Ooh.
You don't, do you? You have no idea.
I closed my eyes and would picture stuff where like the game doesn't pause when you press the pause button. Like one thing that kind of bugged me about the later stages of Breath of the Wild is after you get around 6 hearts and enemies can't one-hit KO you anymore, you just do what you do in Skyrim. You pause the game and eat 60 apples. And I feel like one of my theories about how this game probably had a lot more gamepad features than it ended up having in the beginning relates to how just unbalanced it feels later on in the game when you can pause and eat a bunch of stuff, no consequence. It seems like it would make a lot more sense to have
the
some
Zelda inventory
challenge.
The more shit you have in your inventory, the longer it takes for you to get through. But the enemies, they still come.
Yeah. Try flipping through your 6
shit?
pages. Cooking shit's great. It's such a good system.
Just cook all your shit. Why do you have 16 apples when you could have like 2 really good meals?
Yeah, that's a sound strategy, but you could just replace that strategy with eating 16 apples.
No.
You get a travel medallion that puts a fast travel waypoint on the map, and then 4 nothing costumes that are just nothing. There's Majora's Mask. You can wear Midna's helmet. You can wear Tingle's outfit. LOL, so quirky, right?
Ow.
Yeah. That's the first Zelda DLC.
Yep.
The end.
There was an article I found amusing, and whose, let's just say, I'll believe it when I see it. Arkane Studios regarding Prey basically said, we're making totally double special pinky swear sure this time that the PC version doesn't launch like absolute dog shit. Arkane
After
Austin,
Dishonored 2, yeah.
Indeed. Pretty confident. Double thoroughness is a term they used. We're pretty confident. You never know, but we're pretty confident that it'll work.
Thoroughness.
What do you mean? You never know.
You never know, though.
No, this is not a cool mystery. It's not a
You
cool
never
crime
know.
either. There's not going to be any detectivery going on. If you give this to us and this shit doesn't work again after Dishonored 2 came out and did the same fucking thing, no. Don't give me. You never know.
Install it on your computer at home instead of your workplace at the dev office. See how it runs, then you know.
Maybe run it on more than one system. You never know. Maybe hire a QA firm, but you never know.
I was gonna say, what the fuck are QA testers for?
Apparently nothing now. Apparently they just don't do anything.
Useless.
Yeah, they're probably checking for spelling errors more so than whether the fucking thing actually runs.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but the first Dishonored ran pretty darn okay.
Yeah,
at launch. It was fine.
That wasn't surprising. It was like an Unreal 3 engine game that, you know, had no business running badly on anything. You know, that engine had super mature at that point.
Was Dishonored 1 Source, actually?
I thought it was Unreal 3. Was I incorrect about that? Let's find out. Dishonored engine. What's Dishonored on? It's an Unreal Engine game. An Unreal 3 engine game. Yep.
Yeah, never mind then. What?
You mock my knowledge of engines?
Yeah. I mean, maybe I was just thinking of those blue steel spindly tripods, and that set off my Half-Life.
That's what it's got to be. The thing about this, like, what gets me is they are not showing this confidence. They're claiming, yeah, it's going to be totally fine, guys. Except the PC is the one platform we're not going to release that hour-long demo on. We'll give you it on console, but that demo? Hey, when I got that stupid package with the fucking toilet paper and shit, which I didn't show on Twitter because I'm not a big sucker that gives thousands of dollars of promotion to people that send me toilet paper.
I liked it.
Stick it to the man. You tell them.
The resting face is the best part.
But in there, the piece of paper is like, hey, you can totally play the demo right now on PlayStation and Xbox. I'm like, who the fuck do you think I am? And more to the point, like, if you are going to show confidence, if you want to show that PC version is good, that it runs, and then we're not going to have the same fucking problems again, release the demo on PC. How hard is that? What the fuck happened? Why is it that we can't have PC demos anymore, but consoles that have ridiculous verification requirements and you have to literally pay to upload to, they get demos, but we don't? What is it? What's going on?
Because they're more handsome than we are.
I don't believe that for a second. Yeah, praise.
Untrue. We are the most handsome.
Yeah. Praise like CryEngine 4, you know? It's
people data mining or modding it or something.
Oh no, anything but modding. How terrible. I don't know. I think it's cowardice, and and you know, with Bethesda's brand new we're gonna hide it till release because you all want to be part of the
they
game.
want everyone to play it the same time to be fair and balanced.
In the same way, the same shitty doesn't run properly way that you can't possibly be warned about.
Everyone will find out at once it doesn't.
Everyone will find out at release that it's a piece of shit. Yes, we get it. Well done. We all believe you. No, go to hell on that. May the 5th is when you will find out whether or not this thing runs like arse. I would suggest you don't pre-order it. And of course, what happened? We went over to Steam. What do we find? Oh yes, top sellers, praise number 2. Of course it is. Of course it is. You fucking idiots. Of course it is.
Comes out in a few days.
Jeez.
Oh,
you really got into
get it
that
now.
one.
Really
I get it now. Oh, I was confused, but now I get it.
No.
I was lost, but now I'm found.
Yeah, no, I got you.
Anyone else got any news they'd like to bring up? What you got?
I genuinely looked for quote unquote news. I don't think it exists in the gaming sphere anymore.
It's
I don't
dead
think they
this
covered
week.
news.
It's dead. There's really not a lot going on.
There's a reveal trailer for Code Vein. Do you guys care about
I don't even know what that is.
Look, I think
What
it
is
looks
that?
cool. It's like Animu Dark Souls.
Yeah, it
pretty
looks
Okay.
way worse in screenshots than it does in motion. There's like
I'm just-
really solid animation going on in these combat animations.
I don't understand why the way that they decided to tell us that they were bringing a new IP in was to have a teaser video that was animated in a way that looks nothing like the game. They were like, this is a video inspired by our new game. And
Prepare
I was like,
to dine, am I right?
don't do that. Yeah. So like then people like me were going, wow, they're gonna do something that's kind of like interesting and artistic looking, and then they were like, or we're gonna do anime. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at the
Vampire
announcement
anime.
video. I don't know
And
what the hell is going on with
apocalyptic
that.
vampire anime.
Yeah.
There's some shots in here that look good though. Like
Yeah, for
these
sure.
these dodge rolls are solid looking dodge rolls.
I'm gonna play the hell out of this. This looks fun.
So this is something that I've like gone real roller coaster on, because there was that reveal trailer. Nah, not the reveal trailer. This is the reveal trailer. There was the teaser trailer, which also stands as like a great testament to why to never trust teaser trailers. That looked like the game might be rendering some kind of wispy, impressionistic oil painting art style. That turned out to just be anime, at which point my interest was like, oh, whatever.
That
And then
ruins everything. When something turns out to be anime, it's the worst.
Like if
without
this
question.
was the original teaser trailer, I don't think I ever would have had that lower fall. Because now I'm like right back to like, okay, this looks okay. I'll keep an eye on it. Whereas maybe that just means it's working though. Because I don't know. I've never played God Eater.
You're talking about it.
Exactly.
So that's
True.
So there's some element to the roller coaster ride they're sending me on that means their marketing's working to some extent.
Yeah. Did you hear that apparently the latest alliance war going on in Eve is over anime?
That's what I heard.
You got to fight for your right to anime.
Oh my god, the waifu battles have finally begun.
So I believe, the long and the short of it is there's a great article on PC Gamer about this where the guy actually went out and interviewed people but the long and the short of it is there was this big alliance. They got a Discord and everybody was spamming anime memes. The guy got sick of it and banned anime on the Discord and within the alliance itself.
Was it just like on the blacklist of words you can't type?
I don't know. Apparently Discord you can post videos and GIFs in now. I don't use Discord, but yeah, apparently it was just overrun with anime. And there was a revolt or something of some such. The guy went on a podcast and then got called out by someone who, was evidently a very big anime fan, and the bounty was put on the head of some dude, this guy. If 10 corpses of this person were brought, evidence was brought of their kill, they brought 10 frozen corpses, then anime would be banned forever. No. If 10 corpses were brought, the ban on anime would be lifted. But if the other group brought them 20 corpses first, anime would be permanently banned. So there is now a war between Team 10 and Team 20 to bring corpses of this one specific person called Jintan to either save anime or ban anime forever.
I love this. I love everything about
this. It's kind
of
wonderful.
A good story.
Again, we prove once again that Eve is much better watched from a distance than it is played.
Right? Hashtag ban anime.
I want to see like on the front war coverage of this conflict.
I've read war coverage of other shit like in Eve, and it's been great. It's been super fun, but I don't know how long this is going to go on for. But we are truly part of the dankest timeline at this point. There is no doubt. That is where we are.
Eve was always on that timeline.
That is true. Eve has generated so many things in that respect. One other minor thing from this week that got some people all ruffled for no reason. The 2DS XL was announced, which is the new 3DS, except they took the 3D out and knocked $50 off the price tag. Simple as that.
And made it bigger. I think
it's the same size. It's the same size as the new 3DS XL.
Okay.
Exactly the same size as that. They just took the 3D feature out and knocked $50 off it. That's literally the only difference. There's a nice price comparison thing on the Nintendo website for it.
This is fine.
Yeah.
This is fine.
Totally fine.
Stupid name, but the product seems like a fine idea, filling a fine niche.
Yeah, why not? I feel like, why would you do that when there's the Switch? Have you noticed that the Switch doesn't have any video games and the 3DS has lots of video games and they're still making video games for the 3DS? Because there's a massive motherfucking install base and the Switch doesn't have that.
So make a cheaper, better version of the 2DS to play those games if you don't want to commit to the full price. And you're good.
Why wouldn't you? I mean, it's not like the fucking Switch is backwards compatible. It's like you expect, the Switch came out. Immediately end all game and hardware production. No, they're not going to do that because the 3DS is ludicrously popular. Why would they do this? No, it's fine. It's good that they have that. If I ever break my 3DS XL, I'll replace it with this because I don't need the 3D shit.
They
Save a bit of
got to
money.
use all those unused parts of the NES Mini on something.
Mm. Yeah.
The warehouse is full of those things that
Indeed.
that have gone unsold.
Of course, along with all of those hidden amiibos that they refuse to sell to people.
Things that exist.
Yeah, of course, they're all real. Yeah, apparently all of the new 3DS games, the ones that don't run well on the older 3DS, they run just the same on the new 2DS that they would on the new 3DS. Oh god, my brain. Yeah, it's the up-to-date hardware. Just basically buy it. Buy this.
The thing that I feel like this only bugs me a bit is the product's fine. It's the name. It's the stupid fucking names. I hate them. I can't wait for this trend to die.
The new 3DS. Well, I remember the fucking original DS. It was the DS, the DS Lite, the DSi, and then the DS XL, and and then they went the 3DS. Then there's the 2DS.
Then they went fully down the hole.
Yeah,
now
like,
new Super Mario Brothers U is not new anymore, so it's just confusing. And we all knew this would happen.
Why didn't they? It was they just need to give them good names, instead of
and I feel like that trend is finally stopping towards the Switch line.
Yeah, because if they made the new 3D Mario game like 3D Mario Switch or whatever, it's like, no, just call it something else.
Mario Odyssey. There you go.
There you go. Problem solved.
Bing. Kablamzo.
Yeah.
But yeah, that stupid ass trend of stupid ass names is still going on with their 3DS line.
Yeah, fuck them for that. Okay, unless anyone,
this whole conversation just makes me want to troll the Eve community really hard and just like reach out to all of them and be like, hey, ban anime. Hashtag ban anime.
Banime.
Banime. Hashtag banime.
What if there was no anime? What if we deleted anime?
Mm.
Have you thought about that?
Oh my god. Holy shit. I'm gonna make a propaganda video.
Do it.
Oh,
that's
fuck.
the best. That's the best thing about these Eve Wars. All the propaganda that comes out of it. It's so good. Do it. Get involved.
Wear a nice pinstripe suit. It's gonna be in all sepia tone.
Someone already did it with this is the article. I'll post the article in the chat. Someone did a Moses thing. Let my people go, and Moses, instead of holding a tablet, the stone tablets, is like holding an anime body pillow, and I think it's a Dragon Ball character. I don't really know. Like it's amusing, and now people are drawing Eve ships as anime girls. That sounds about right.
Yes.
I don't know if this
I need to be part of this.
I don't know if the war is continuing. I have no idea, but if it is, it needs to go on forever because it's fucking funny.
Yeah.
Video games. All right, should we do releases? I got nothing better to do.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, release list. In charge this week of the culling of the week is Jesse, who went through, and apparently there were a lot of Chinese and Japanese games with no English options this week, so you had to cull them. They're gone.
It was not a problem. It was quite easy, actually.
Good. I'm glad to hear you're up to the task.
All right. So today, May the 2nd, we have Seance the Unquiet.
All right. It's a preview version of it, apparently.
A free-to-play preview.
It's a VR game. What's this about, Jesse?
It's a game where you're at a seance, and it's kind of a spooky VR game that I like the concept of, that you are sitting because it's a sitting thing, so you aren't like moving, like, lot of VR.
Oh,
I prefer my dancing seances. I don't know about the rest
But
of
you know what I mean? Like, a lot of VR is somehow you're sitting, but also you're moving, and then you puke
you'll knock over your tripods.
And so in this case, you are at a weird, creepy seance, and I think that's an interesting concept.
Okay.
For a game.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll see, as usual with VR games, like, hey, is it an actual game or toy? I don't know.
The next game is called Super Rude Bear Resurrection.
Oh, Christ.
This was already out on Steam, so now it's coming out on PS4, it looks like.
Well, apparently the Resurrection version wasn't. It's coming out in a few days. It looks, this is fucking Meat Boy. Even down to the, even down to the way platforming works, the texture work of the walls, the way that the sort of spinning buzzsaws are. This is Meat Boy with a bear. From looking at it, I mean, there's a lot of reviews that seem to indicate otherwise, but this looks very Meat Boy to me. Oh, I know. I want to know what is the rub with this one. What's the gimmick?
that you're a wisecracking thugbear.
Oh,
maybe.
great. Yeah.
That'll do.
Apparently
That'll
found
do.
himself in the wrong hood, so evidently he's not too streetwise, is he? Bit of an idiot.
Next up is called Nog, Gnog. This is also for PS4.
Yeah,
Gnog
only for
or
PS4,
Nog?
it would seem. Gnog. I don't know. Would you pronounce it Gnog?
Is the G silent?
I would say Nog.
I'm
but-
going to assume, yeah. Visually, this is really quite cool. The website looks very awesome indeed. It is a playful puzzle game about destroying monstrous virtual toys. You rotate and click and pull and swing and all that kind of thing. Yep. It's not on PC. It's a shame, but yeah, it's got optional PSVR spot. Apparently it is coming to Steam, but they don't seem to have a listing there yet.
And last up for May the 2nd is the Caligula effect, also for PS4.
Indeed, the Caligula effect.
This game looks super bonkers. Apparently it was on Vita.
Really?
Released in 2016, but now it's coming to PS4, and I don't know what
It's a
the shit this
Japanese
game-
role-playing game of some description. I mean, there's a lot of anime. As always, it's an Atlas game. It's not just anime. Apparently, there's idols singing and shit. I still don't know what this is.
Exactly. I went to the official website to try and figure this out, and it explained nothing. At first, I thought it was a game where you role play by singing into a microphone. I swear to God, I thought that was the most innovative. I was like,
do you
that's-
though?
wait.
No,
What's
it's
not-
not that.
what does that have to do with Caligula?
I don't.
Nothing.
No.
For what I could tell, not a damn thing. Apparently, so it's directed by somebody who it was written by Tadashi Satome, who was involved in the first 3 Persona games. By that I mean Persona 1 and 2, because 2 was split into 2 parts.
Right.
It's a next-generation juvenile RPG, so apparently that's a thing now.
That's a
Focusing on-
JRPG
Okay.
then. Got
Yeah,
it.
focusing
yeah.
on modern pathology, trauma, that characters were said to violate a variety of taboos.
Oh, like the Caligula movie.
I guess not quite as extreme as that, because otherwise it would not be getting a release of any sort, but yeah, it was on Vita initially. Yeah, otherwise it's a turn-based J-Dungeon Crawl, a turn-based J-Dungeon Crawl.
So,
of some sort.
I also feel it's worth mentioning that the PS4 version does come with swimsuit DLC
Great. Yeah, of
Cool.
course.
Mhm.
and the original Vita theme and 19 avatars. This is just like what it says when you look it up on the PSN store. It
Sure.
has your bullet points with the swimsuit DLC. That's the second
They-
bullet point underneath the game.
They know what people like. One that we did miss, apparently, that's not on the release list. I don't know why it's not there. Tumbleseed is getting a bit of press right now. They claim it's a roguelike, but it doesn't look anything like that. Some weird sort of, you have to balance a seed up a dangerous and ever-changing mountain, and there's a bunch of unlockable abilities. The art style for this looks really interesting. I think Giant Bomb just did a quick look on it, and they were fairly impressed with it. This is out on console and on PC as well, so it might be worth having a look at this.
Cool. May 3rd, we have Time in Time. It's a
Ooh,
puzzle game.
whatever that means. Okay.
It's a puzzle game with timers.
Okay. Side-scroller puzzle platformer. You control everything with timers.
It's
Everything?
an interesting concept. Yeah, that's what I was like.
Oh, you have direct control over when the platforms move and shit. This is almost a programming game by the looks of it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Next up is Shattered Steel, the game from 1996, coming to Steam.
Jesus Christ, Shattered Steel. This was on a fucking demo disc, I think, that also had Warcraft 2 on it.
Yep. Way
and
back in
Pax
the day.
Imperia Eminent Domain. I remember this. Man, if this is still playable, I want to try it, because this is back from my childhood. I didn't know this game ever came out. Wow. It'll probably run like absolute garbage, but it's worth a look.
The next one, I'm trying to find the right one for it, but it's
There's
called
several of these.
The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky, the Third.
Third.
Yeah, there's several versions of this, because wasn't there Trails of Cold Steel? And this whole The Legend of Heroes is a series.
Right.
Yeah,
As
I don't know.
opposed to all those legends that are about nobodies.
I don't know. Yeah, Trails in the Sky, the Third. Apparently, that one has been ported. It's coming out soon for PC and such. Yes.
Oh, this looks so up my alley.
Yeah, this it's a fairly classic style of the kind of J dungeon crawler, I think. Apparently, it's pretty good for those who like it. It's a bit of a tactics game as well.
Yeah, it looks cool.
I personally never played it. It actually might be up my alley looking at it. I don't know, but I just never got around to it.
And last up for the third is Feral Fury, which is a twin stick shooter.
Yes, it's a bit of an odd name for it, but yeah. Twin stick roguelite, apparently. With very bright particle effects. Apparently that's a good thing. I guess you're a furry character of some sort. I don't know, but it is out.
Next up on May 4th, another twin stick roguelite is Atomine. Atomine.
Twin stick procedural shooter roguelite set in a virtual world with minimalist design, where the player recounts on the screen the real events of Stuxnet. Apparently, whatever that is. Yeah, so if you want something that reminds you almost of the hacking sequences from Nier, this kind of does that.
Ooh.
And next up is Flat Out 4, Total Insanity.
Yep, that's been out on PC for a couple of weeks. It's now coming out on console. It has very mixed reviews on PC. The Flat Out games since number 2 have been shit for some reason. I think it's not because it's not the same dev. I think maybe the old Flat Out devs was the one still making Next Car Game. Still, but yeah. Not good apparently.
On May 5th, we have Prey.
Yep, that's the big release. Consoles and
Yeah,
PC.
yeah.
Yep.
I'm really looking forward to seeing if that one does well.
Me too.
It looks like it's up my alley, you know?
Yep.
A Bioshock, but with the more System Shock-esque element to it. I hope it's good.
Me
but,
too.
You know, we don't get
We've,
review copies. Nobody gets review copies.
Who knows?
Yeah, so don't buy it. I don't, wait for other people to look at it.
Yeah. And then we have Shio, which looks like a super cool little platformer.
I picked it for you, Dukes, because I
Aw.
figured you would enjoy.
It looks up my alley.
Shio. Yes.
Shio.
Okay.
That is the word for it's not salt, but it's some other food thing. There's shoyu and shio when you're ordering ramen at a restaurant.
Apparently used
Somebody in
lanterns
chat
or
will know.
something to bounce
I'm trying to
around
look it
the
up
place.
now, but I'm finding other things.
Yeah.
Next up is World to the West.
That
Looks
sounds
cute.
familiar. Has it got anything to do with Odyssey to the West? Maybe not.
I don't know.
No.
Oh,
It's the follow-up to Teslagrad. Yeah.
follow up. Shio just means salt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Shoyu is soy. Anyways.
So this apparently is a follow-up. It's somehow a standalone follow-up to Teslagrad. I was going to say it looks nothing like fucking Teslagrad. But Teslagrad was a pretty cool puzzle platformer. This is more of a 3D adventure. Looks pretty neat, actually. I hadn't heard about this up to this point. Looks cool.
We're
We're getting Dreamfall chapters for PS4. Yeah, that's been out for a while on PC now.
Yeah. And then May 6th is Grip Tape Backbone.
Okay. That literally could be whatever.
Hear how
This
so it's free. Hear how they describe it: a relaxing,
Oh my
meditative, and zen-like first-person vaporwave skateboarding game, an interactive mixtape. Oh, kill me now!
Someone tell me what's going on in this trailer.
Someone tell me what that even fucking means.
YouTube can't handle it. It's like compressing it too hard because there's so much shit on the screen.
Sorry, let me just swap with Octopimp really quick, my resident vaporwave fanatic.
Okay, yeah, I have a feeling I heard of this a while ago for some reason. Like, it was in someone's random collection of here's weird games I got sent. It was evidently not in yours, George, because you don't know it, but I feel like I've seen this somewhere before. Maybe it was at a PAX or something. I don't know.
This looks too much like Hello Fellow Kids the game even for me.
Okay.
Hello, kids.
All right. Moving on then to
Next up is Far Space.
apparently you can play it without even any VR gear. Well, that's a feature
Yeah,
apparently
wow.
these days. Amazing. Apparently, except under that it says requires a VR headset. Which is it? Did you lie to me?
The world will never know.
No. This only
Everyone
won't
always lies to you, TotalBiscuit.
I know.
All the time.
A deep realization that I eventually came through years and years of observation.
Yes, and yes.
Years and years of observation.
Y'alls and y'alls.
And everybody is going to die. Yes, quite.
Yes.
It's
ooh.
been-
Y'alls of dying.
I'd say it's been nice knowing you, Horatio. Not really.
Y'all.
Now it's time for you to die. Tell me my space burn pressure is not 100%.
Great. It's your voice. It's
Would
not
you
an
like?
impression.
I made you these tiny iced creams.
It's not even an impression. It's just you.
I am actually just the space bear. Yeah. I'm the secret voice actor. All right. What else we
And the
got?
final game is Chronicle of Innsmouth.
Oh, that sounds
Lovecraftian.
Lovecraftian. Yep.
Yep.
That is literally the only reason why I picked it. It looks graphically
I
like
can't
it's from 20 years ago.
Oh, Chronicle
But
of
I'm
Innsmouth.
hoping-
Okay.
Against hope that because it's Lovecraftian, that there might be a gem in there.
Mm.
Because yeah, it's
got a little LucasArts
Oh.
adventure type setup.
I like that aesthetic. Yeah, that does
Yeah.
look like an old school adventure game. Very much
You know,
so.
Yahtzee used to make adventure games like that, like
That he did.
Lovecraftian themed horror
Yeah.
LucasArts
Oh, God,
adventures.
what was the name of it? Let me just put it this way. Like, his game design is interesting. His writing's great. He makes the ugliest UIs that anyone has ever made. Like, obviously, he does it just as a hobby on his own, but it's like, oh, God, please hire a UI designer. What was the name of his latest game? Fuck. I'm going to have to look this up. Ben Croshaw.
In the meantime, yeah, Chronicles of Innsmouth actually looks pretty okay.
That looks pretty legit, actually. Because he made 5 Days of Strangers, 7 Days of Skeptic, but the latest one he made, The Consuming Shadow. Yeah, survival horror, kind of Cthulhu-esque roguelike, but the UI looked like it was made in MS Paint because it actually was. Yeah.
Great.
Cool. Yeah, so not really a lot going on this week. It is, for the most part, Prey. That's really the only game. I mean, it's a good time to bring out Prey, you know, if you're not being surrounded by other titles that may very well overshadow it. I guess the hope is that that's good. I have high hopes for it. I really hope it doesn't let me down. It looks great. I just hope it is. Like, we just haven't really heard or seen a lot of it.
Boy, do I want it to be good.
There's so many instances where we've really needed a System Shock 3, and I guess now that Dead Space 3 turned out to be kind of we really needed Dead Space 3 , so
An
there you go.
actual Dead Space 3. I like
Yeah.
Dead Space 3 because they took all the horror out of it, and that made it good for me.
Oh,
I am
I
the
like Dead
reason
Space
your
3
series is
I was
ruined.
hallucinating.
Yeah, Dodge got to see the scary parts where you like
I got
freak out.
Hey,
hallucinating for
that
the
that
entire game.
idea, man, that I gotta say, like, I know it's probably never been well done, and Fear 3 had the same bullshit as well with the co-op, but I love the idea of showing a different player something different to the other
Me too.
dude. I think it's a
Yeah,
really
we thought
cool
we
idea.
thought it was really fun because I would be like, "Are you?" Like, I had to double check with Jesse constantly. Like, "Are you seeing this right
See?
now?"
I'm
Wait,
like, no,
actually-
I don't know what you're looking at.
weren't we just talking about this, about how like being a minor internet celebrity with friends ready to play these multiplayer built games gives you a different opinion of them than
was a
normal
huge
people?
privilege. Yeah, you brought this up. It
Yeah.
was prior to the
Yeah,
show.
we have multiplayer privilege as
Yeah,
minor
we
internet
do.
celebrities.
Yeah,
Damn.
it was something you brought up
Damn.
that one of your commenters had said, well, you see this differently because you have people to play multiplayer with.
Yeah, that's why I like Nintendo Land so much, is because
Because you
I
can
can
play
always
it.
call someone up to play Nintendo Land, and
Yeah.
normal people can't.
Yes, because normal people don't have families
They
or
don't have
anybody that
friends.
they know at all. Yeah, I think that, especially on the internet, you get the idea that everybody's like that with, kind of shut in with no friends because you only talk to other people that are also like that and everyone else is out with their friends. So you get the idea everybody's like this. It's like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not true, I'm afraid.
So
well.
go make friends.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Go make friends.
Then you can have someone to play Nintendo
To play
Land
Nintendo
with.
Land with. You are the reason that Wii U failed.
You'll make Dead Space
Failed.
3 slightly better.
Oh my. We're finishing early. We have 4 minutes left of the show.
Oh my gosh. Normally we finish at least a half an hour late.
Because of the fucking release list. There's just nothing coming out this week. And for once, I'm glad of it.
Yeah.
I might actually get around to playing Persona. I don't know. Again, I'll probably just play Darkest Dungeon on the Vita for some stupid-ass fucking reason. Just because I have it. Oh,
Either
no.
one, great game.
They're both
So
good.
you're winning either way.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I
I'd definitely say so. So we'll use the last few minutes. What's coming up on the channel this week? What do you have? George, what are you working on? And does it involve either Ghost Trick or the Sexy Brutale? Because if it doesn't...
It involves a sexy game.
Okay, all
I'm
right.
doing Nier Automata.
all right.
Gonna try to finish up all the alternate endings tonight, then spend the other 2 days getting footage and doing research. I'm wondering what topic I should dive into there. There's definitely something interesting going on with the way the little cute robots on planet Earth are going through their cute little process of discovering cute little social constructs. I kind of want to focus on that. I'm wondering if there's really enough there though, which will depend on how the rest of the game goes. But yeah, I'm just going to be like hammering away at that tonight, doing that thing where I sit in a chair for 8 hours, playing one video game, hoping that I finish it in time. Other than that, I'm doing another round of George Sucks. So tomorrow a friend's going to come over and we're going to be making an infomercial. We have to come up with scenarios of people using socks incorrectly in black and white.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
that
since
way
I
I can
think
do like
there's-
that montage where
Yeah.
I'm like, are you a bumbling idiot?
I mean, there's only one way really to use socks correctly, so that means every other way isn't. So
The
it should be
world
easy
is
enough.
the socks oyster.
Indeed.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's so much creative potential here. It's a well as yet untapped.
Yes, yes. Well, I mean, I have tapped into it twice before, but I'm
Well,
hoping for big money again.
It's probably refilled by now. There's been rain since then. It'll be all right.
Hopefully. I mean, I did miss Christmas last time, so
Yeah. Well, that was your biggest mistake right there.
totally.
Dodger, what's coming up? What you got?
Let's see, guys. I do gaming news. I do anime news. We have a new unboxing episode with my sweet fiance Sam coming out soon. I stream a lot on twitch.tv/dexterity-bonus, and I want to ban anime.
You
So
do.
if
You want to ban all the
I
anime
wanna
and
ban
Eve?
anime. So if
Do
you
it.
want to ban anime with me, be sure let all Eve players know that you are on team ban anime.
Great.
You've picked a side.
I've picked
Good.
a
The
side.
The contract
I
is sealed.
We all we all must. Oh dear. Jesse, what you got?
This week more Outlast, more looks at some interesting new games. I am actually trying to do some VR stuff and pick games
I can't wait.
that are literally that might make people sick. Those are the games I'm jumping into. All that, and I would like to bone anime. #bone anime
What, all of it?
is all anime. I want to just
You don't discriminate.
get up
Huh.
in there.
All right.
No
Even the
discrimination.
weird ones.
Especially the weird ones.
I don't know. You could be like committing a federal offense if you decide to go down that road.
They're
Well,
not
they
real.
localize it to
#bone anime.
18, right? Surely.
Oh,
There
I
might
mean,
be a disclaimer hidden somewhere in the back of some box.
I was
So-
thinking like tentacles and stuff. I don't know what you guys thinking. Creeps.
It gets
Creeps.
weird.
#bone anime.
Bone anime, indeed.
#bone anime.
I think that's about it, honestly. There is one other thing I want to promo, actually. We're all going to be at... George, you might be there. It is in your
Momocon?
home city. Yeah, you're going to be at Momocon? Cool.
Yeah,
You want to come join our co-optional lounge stage panel where we play Snake Oil and Super Fight for an hour and look really stupid in front of an audience?
is that an official invitation?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah,
Great.
totally.
I'd love for
I'm
you to
down.
come along because Mathis is going to come along. We're going to have a big old good fun time. We have a schedule for the stuff that's going on at Momocon. And please do come to Momocon. We're going to be doing a lot of panels there. Momocon is on the weekend of the 26th of May. We're going to be there.
It's also really good.
It actually is. If you want to ban anime, this would be a good place to spread that message.
Look, there are so many heathens at Momocon
There's so much anime to
promoting
ban.
the message of anime, and they must be stopped.
They also have Jubeat.
I don't know what that is.
It's a
Is-
super cool Japanese arcade rhythm game that the company that brings their machines to Momocon every year brings a bunch of Jubeat machines. And you may be likely to find me and my friend Matt on those throughout Momocon weekend.
Yep, they're going to be Jubeating.
Yeah.
This doesn't work any way I spin it.
Yep.
Yeah.
For serious though, Momocon's really good. It's actually
it's a lot of fun.
One of my favorite cons.
Yeah,
right now.
it's for 4 days, nice and chill. It's not that busy. If you're scared of like, oh, Dragon Con makes me want to die because it's wall-to-wall people across the entire city. Momocon is less crazy than that. It's a lot more spaced out. It's running for 4 days, starting. Actually, I think it's 3 days. We're getting there the day before. Yeah, Friday across the weekend, 26th to 28th. Our schedule is as follows: Talking with TotalBiscuit is at 1 p.m. in the theater. I'm going to be doing that. At 5:30, the more interesting panel, the Co-optional Podcast panel with the three of us and any other guest that we can drag in on it for good measure, which may or may not happen. Directly after that show, I think, again, they're giving us main theater for that. I certainly hope so. That theater's great. It's comfortable. They have plush seats. It's amazing. Like, you go to PAX and they have shit seats. Momocon doesn't have shit seats. It's brilliant. Directly after that, once we are all over there, we will have a signing session straight after that, so you can come and get your shit signed and take photos if that's your thing. Don't stay at the airport with signs. One, I'll be driving down, so you won't find me there. But they are the tomorrow time. Yeah, Saturday the 27th, 2:30 p.m. I believe. Yes, I'm right about that. Is the Co-optional Lounge. Myself, Dodger, Jesse. Apparently also Mr. BunnyHop and any other guests we can drag in. We're going to be playing Super Fight. I know, it's a risk. The last time it sent me to hospital. We're going to do it again. And Snake Oil in front of a live audience. I believe this time they are at least recording, if not streaming, every single panel. I'm fairly sure they're streaming them. So we will keep you up to date as to what's going on with the Momocon panels. If there's any others we get roped into at the last minute, like the last one, where we got how to make money on YouTube that was being run by somebody that doesn't make any money on YouTube, but it's okay because me and Mathis saved the day. We'll do that and all sorts of other things, probably. So please do come down to Momocon. It's a lot of fun. It is down in Atlanta, Georgia, 26th to the 28th of May. We will be there. We'll be broadcasting from there. We'll be doing signings and all that kind of good stuff. Please do very much enjoy it. I believe Xavier Woods is planning on being at Momocon as well. So that means we can have a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 rematch after, well, I'd say I kicked his ass. Almost. The controller broke. That's just how it is.
Yeah,
the stick wasn't working properly. So, yeah, and we'll probably be playing a bunch of fucking board games if we can. I know since Mathis is there, he'll probably force us to learn Game of Thrones, so don't expect us to leave the room that day. That's about it. That's our shilling. That's our promo. Mr. HOP, thank you very much for once again being a great guest on the show. Go check out his channel. It's been under his face for the last 3 hours.
Whoa.
If you want to see
/BunnyHop show.
Indeed. If you want to see the critique and things from Japan that pop up
And
every
the
once in a while.
socks.
And socks.
The man, the socks, the legend.
Indeed. That's the place to go. Our channels are below. You can find us, of course, on Twitch. You can find us on Twitter if for some reason you so desire. I think we're about done. Thank you very much for watching the Co-optional Podcast. We'll be back at the same time next week, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. in the British Isles, 9 p.m. Central European Summertime. If you're in any other time zone, you can figure it out for your bloody self. We're done. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.